Hey, shh. Calm down. The show is about to start. Reese on the radio. Turn it up. Turn it up low. Turn it up loud.
It's like a dream come true.
Turn on your radio. Reese is on the radio.
Yo, let's get it.
Due to the nature of this program, discretion does not exist. It's Reese on the radio. Right now on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Yeah! Let's go! How y'all doing out there? It's Friday, and let's get ready. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080. I am uber excited, super duper excited today, because whenever I do something last minute and it comes together, I get over the top excited. Sweetheart, you're going to have to turn on my air conditioner in here because I'm already hot. I'm like Nelly, novelty rap. I'm hot in here. We got a good show for you today, all depending on how I execute, but which I expect to be pretty good because I'm excited. But it could all fall apart. Who cares? But we're going to do something we normally don't do, and we got it. We got loaded up for guests. Now, I know I say it all the time. I don't need any guests. I don't. I like them. Don't get me wrong. It's nothing against that. It's just that guests have a tendency to take the show off the beaten path when I'm trying to build a momentum. But today, I scheduled these guests. One that it took me a little bit of time to get, but I got them. And another one I had to call last minute because news is ever changing. So at 3:30, in a little bit, we're going to have Carl Higbie on from Newsmax. We're going to talk to him about Connecticut politics, about news overall. We'll have him on for a little bit. And then we're bringing back a guest we just had on Wednesday. Normally, do we rarely do repeat guests on the show, but we got to do it. SeanPaul Reyes of Long Island Audit is back, because we have developing news on his spat, I use that term loosely, his spat with Sergeant Fahey, because there's new developments on that. Developments I told you was going to happen. Everyone, and I don't know why, but I get it. I said this before and I'll say it again. Many of you are very used to the norms. Nothing ever gets done. You guys complain about it till your ears bleed and nothing happens. And I told you, a new day has begun. That is no longer going to be the case. That we are going to be dogged. We're going to approach these things differently. Nothing against those out here who have tried to do it before. We have plenty. We've got a legion of conservative talk show hosts here in Connecticut. But some of the tactics have been antiquated. And we need a new approach. I'm trying to bring that. Not because anyone else was like a horrible actor and all of this, or, they were inept. It's nothing about that. It's just that we're just going about it a new way. We are. And I've got plenty of people who are seeing it, who are seeing the actions take root. Even people in Congress, even people in the legislature right here in Connecticut, they're taking note. Notice how they're being a little more active than you're used to. Well, they need that help. They need that help and that motivation from you. And you've all played a huge part of that. Don't you feel re-energized? Come on. You got to be. I'm energized every day. You got to be energized with me. Oh, boy, did I find out some dirt today. Oh, baby. Would you like me to share some dirt with you? I'm going to be like a washwoman telling gossip that I've heard. So, in my opening monologue today, I'm just going to say to anyone who works in Governor Lamont's office. I'm going to say to you, hon, can you turn on that air conditioner for me? Thank you. I'm going to say to you folks now, we have got some heavy, heavy dirt on the office of Ned Lamont. Boy, do we have some really heavy, heavy dirt. Now, this may not be for you. No, I'm just going to tell you there's nothing sexual in nature, nothing like that. There's no money laundering or any of that backdoor. No. No. This kind of dirt is perfect for me. You guys have been asking, as I have, what's going on with the news media here in Connecticut? Why are they so, quiet about anything and everything that happens that is of any importance to you and the state overall? And I got some dirt about the office of Governor Lamont that answers all of those questions. And folks, they're scared. Governor Lamont is afraid to death of the press. That office is doing everything it can to shield itself from answering any questions. If you saw that SeanPaul Reyes video where he's being questioned as Lamont's walking down that corridor, and you see Lamont annoyed, ticked off, irritated that he would ever be asked a question, it looked like he didn't know what was going on. Yesterday at the end of this show, I said, dude, if you can't take it, get out of office. Leave. And it turns out I was 100% right. Deep inside Lamont's office, he is being shielded, protected, held. We know, and we found out, that Republicans in the state have been sending out press releases all over the place, and no one's responding to them. Well, now it turns out that Lamont's office isn't sending out press releases. In fact, they're not inviting some members of the press at certain events. And at events that they're going to, ladies and gentlemen, they're also directing whomever it is that they're with to not even allow the press to ask questions. Do not even give the impression that you are there to take questions. These press opportunities that involve the governor are to be governor responses only, take no questions. And if they are under the impression that a news media outlet has questions, they do not invite them. Let's go a little deeper. Anybody want to know who some are the offenders are according to the governor's office? There are 3. One of them they don't really have to worry about anymore because those folks have really gotten rid of their investigative reporters, but apparently they're being punished. Let's start with the obvious. Fox 61. Yes, Fox 61 is often not invited by the governor's office to certain events. Sometimes Fox 61 has to scour the internet to find out if the governor might be showing up at certain places. Sometimes they arrive on time, sometimes they arrive late. Another station very close to this network, WTNH. Turns out that at some events, they are not invited because there is a belief that certain journalists will ask questions that may render the governor on the ropes. And if he doesn't want to answer tough questions, he avoids sending press releases to that network. And last but not least, a network that I believe, because of its tagline, your news reporter, your political reporter, your environmental reporter, none other than WFSB. I love those guys. Susan Raff and all of them. Yes, they are part of the banned list from the governor's office. So now we get it. Now we understand everything that we believed about politicians in this state. These things go unchecked because they don't want certain people to get the information to you. Oh, Governor, that's just sad. I was wondering why everywhere you look, people were having controversial press conferences. William Tong, you remember. Remember when he held that press conference talking about mutilating children? You remember that? Yet nobody was around. Where's everybody? No one was there to ask any questions. What's that about? Now we know. If they find out that a news outfit wants to ask questions or may have questions for the Attorney General, the mayor, maybe even a politician, these folks will reject invitations or keep invitations from those outlets. They only send them out to the mind-numb robots who will come out and shake their head and just record the event and go home. Write something glowing without any, objective viewpoint. It's sad, folks, but that's got to change, doesn't it? It's got to change. I should have picked up on this. Do you remember that event that Dick Blumenthal and Christoph Murphy were holding in West Hartford? Or better yet, remember when Dickie Blumenthal was holding the Deep River press conference where he sent out the press release 18 hours before the event? That's what all that's about, folks. It's to get the right people at the event while others have to scramble. They don't want a free press. They're the ones that are always screaming about how democracies are at risk. And one of the things that they scream the most about is about the freedom of press. But these jokers, they're pulling a whole bunch of shenanigans on the press. That ends now. I'm calling it, folks. I'm calling it. It has to end. And folks, if you know about events, if you're inside those offices, it's time for you to start to blow the whistle on them. You live here too. You serve these people as well. Whatever's going on, you need to make it clear to the rest of us what's happening so that we can hold these folks accountable. Otherwise, you're a part of the problem and you are contributing to the corruption. You are contributing to the lies, the deceit. You got to step up. You got to make these folks afraid of you. And when I say afraid, I'm talking about afraid of you in the sense that they will be held accountable. We can't have the governor's office avoiding the press. We can't have the governor's office doing selective news and selective news outlets at events. We can't have a governor telling people, don't take questions. We can't have him directing what you should know. Who the hell is Lamont? His job is to serve you. And now he is operating with this impunity, with this degree of dismissal for you being able to ask questions or to get questions answered that you care about. But now that I know, I have so much other work to do. It's just adding on to my list of things. I'm not going to do this single-handedly. I'm going to do this with all of you. And I know that all of you can. I know all of you want to. Some of you just have regular jobs. That's okay. You can sit this one out. This is not a call to arms. But those of you who can, imagine what we'd be able to do by getting these people to answer questions, by showing up at these events, by getting them, having our phones ready, making them respond. No more selectively picking news outlets and journalists who will not scrutinize these folks. It cannot happen anymore. It's got to stop. And I suggest to you, it stops now. So join me. There's some bloggers out there. Some of you know who you are. Out there trying to go viral. Make a name for yourself on the TikTok, in the TikTok world. Join me. Come on, even Chris Webby. He's a rapper. He's an entertainer. You see what happens when he gets involved? He's supposed to be in a genre that no one other than that niche is paying attention to. And now, he's got an entire state behind him. He's got new fans. As soon as we started talking to Chris Webber, you have no idea how many people were contacting me going, I didn't even listen to his music, but I love this guy now. I'll listen to him now. So if you're out there, you want to make a difference, you can. And I'm going to help you do it. Look at Mark in West Hartford. You could be the next Mark in West Hartford. Pick a different name, though, of course. All that good stuff. I might tell you. In fact, when I get out there next week, when we have our little event, I'll tell you some secret sauce. I do that kind of stuff privately. I don't want to throw anybody under the bus. But stick around. We got more news, more views. Don't forget, we got Carl Higbie of Newsmax joining the show at 3:30. And we got SeanPaul Reyes from Long Island Audit. He's coming back as well to talk about the new developments in his case. All right, it's Reese on the radio. Go nowhere. It's WTIC News Talk 1080. We're back. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080. Headlines coming up. We've also got Carl Higbie of Newsmax, and, of course, SeanPaul Reyes will be back here as well. We'll talk about him. If you haven't seen it, WTNH has posted the internal affairs investigation into the altercation between SeanPaul Reyes and Sergeant Brian Fahey, which led to the suspension. And we'll get SeanPaul Reyes' reaction to that. I read over it. And I got to be honest, it's some of the most outlandish stuff I've ever read in my entire life. So I want to wait. I don't want to give anything away. So I'm going to wait until SeanPaul gets here. We'll talk to him about that because it's just insane. Headlines are actually really, really good this week. Also, some Hollywood news. And this one has more to do with you at home than it has to do with in Hollywood. This deal with, how do I put it? This deal with how the press is worked and operated here in Connecticut is interesting because it just shows you what people say and what they talk about as politicians, which always turns out to be exactly who they are. The thing that they are condemning others for is exactly who they are. Because I just want to ask the question, had they not thought about a counter message when going to events or inviting the press? Because I would imagine your staff would sit there and say, I need you to say this, that, and the third. Now, I'll be honest, I know a lot of people aren't savvy in this area. I've had to deal with it plenty of times. In my radio career, there will be a complaint, as there is. You know, somebody like me who's a little bombastic and sometimes, you know, a little aggressive. There will be somebody who has a complaint about something that I said or a conversation on the air. And someone will be, you know, what was that exactly you said? And they give the impression that there's a problem with what they heard. And in my head, I'm already at the legality portion of my statement. I'm always there. I'm always thinking about the way in which someone's responding. However, others, when they get word, they immediately go, someone was offended. What do we do? And I'm like, chill, we got this. And when we have to address them, or when I have to address them, I know exactly what the question is, or I just know. That's his job. Lamont, Tong, all of them, that's their job. The fact that they don't know how to address what they believe in, their strategy, their policy position, the fact that they don't know how to respond to pushback shows that they are not qualified. They're just not. And I've listened to interviews right here on WTIC because they will go on Brian's show, and I know that it's primarily, it's not that Brian won't ask a tough question. Let's get that out of the way. It's not that he won't ask a tough question. But Brian's format is, and this isn't a criticism for those, you know, the spies. This isn't a criticism. If I have to say that to you, you're a moron. What Brian is doing is, in the time in which that time frame he has, he's asking the question that's relevant, if it's controversial or an issue that somebody wants to answer. And it's like, here's the question. Why is this, that, and the third? And then you give the interviewee the opportunity to answer that. If you do have enough time, you might be able to push back. I was like, well, you know, that doesn't seem to jive with this, that, and the third. And then you make that the focus. But if you got a lot of stuff to get to, you can't. And you usually won't. You just get the interview that you need, get the answers that you need, and move on. Which explains why folks like these guys, which now you know, will never come on a program like mine. And those who do, hey, God bless you. You got guts. But it's also because you have the answers. Perfect example, Bob Duff. Bob Duff, that interview, which I still get scorned about, primarily he had a focus. He didn't know my focus. He just knew conservative talk show host, let's make this about Democrats versus Republicans, and then completely railroad the whole thing, which he did. He succeeded in that, without a doubt. And I got hell for it, which, again, I deserved. Never going to happen again. But that's because, one, I was playing nice. Because what my focus was on, and the focus I wanted to stay on was, let's get a bipartisan agreement on how we can solve the Eversource problem. He wanted to take it into the blame game, which was always his intent, which was the strategy going in. And I fumbled the bag, as they say. Never again. Because now when I contact his office, you know what I get? Nah, not this time. We're a little busy. They'll never come back. And I'm cool with that. I'm cool. It isn't about saying, oh, they're afraid or, they don't want to be caught flat-footed. I don't care. I'll call them up and I'll just say, hey, you know what? I do think this needs to be addressed. Sometimes I'll just do the feeler just to say, hey, you guys should come on the show and talk about this, that, and the third. And then when they don't, I know why. I'll never reveal it, but truth be told, I know why they don't. And it's not about fear. It's because they don't have an answer. Because it can't be spun. And I take that as a personal victory. That's the whole deal. If they were banging down the door to come on the program, which, according to other reports, they should be banging down the door to come on this program, but they're not. Why? Because they're not interested in that. They're not interested in answering any questions. They're not interested in being held to account. Even when politicians write to folks at DEEP or to the EPA or the Attorney General's office and they don't respond to the letters, as we talked and discussed yesterday with William Tallon sending the cops to deal with an issue with Reverend Jake Dell, that's how they deal with problems. That right there, which happened yesterday, or at least in the last couple of days, is emblematic of politicians in Connecticut and other places, but let's just stick with here. That's how they choose to deal with it. Hey, the Mary Faye situation with Mark in West Hartford, that's the way they deal with stuff. Not answering questions, not dealing with the tough questions, pushing back. Ben Proto, too. It happens all around. Getting asked the tough questions or getting irritated, which you know they do. Well, if you think you're so good, you do that, blah, blah, blah. No one's asking them. Don't give me the nonsense about if you think you're this and that. You're the guy in the job. Answer the question. You're the guy doing the job. You think I'm the only person who's concerned about things like this? No, everybody is, and you know they are. But if you can stick around with kind company who's going to pat you on the butt and tell you you're doing a good job, you suck at this job. You're that scared. And people have to demand more. And it can't be business as usual. And when I say business as usual, not just the people who are doing the nonsense that they're doing. Those of you who are shrugging your shoulders and just going, come on, Reese, that's just the way that it is. Is it? And if you need guidance, just say that. It's like, if you just want to say, so, Reese, you know what? You seem to be energized about this. Then what do we do? Glad you asked. We got to show up. And that's it. We got to show up. I'm going to grab a camera and a microphone. And before the show goes on air, because I'll tell you what it'll be, and you'll laugh at this, but this is exactly what it'll be. As I've actually dealt with this in the past. So what they'll do is, once they know that somebody's starting to dig at them, they'll start to hide what they're doing even deeper. They'll try to keep it even, don't tell anybody. Okay, just send out a press release to just this person, that person, and then they'll start doing it during my show. When's it go on air? 2:00? Okay, we'll do it at 3. Just do it at 3, and we'll do it miles away. Yes, we'll do it at Mohegan Sun, because even if he learns about it, it'll take forever for him to get down there. That's what they'll do. That's what they do. Oh, I'm telling you, I've been here. I've done that. But that's the reason why you can't give them. Let those folks do what they do to make them, turn them into contortionists where they're twisting themselves up so they can avoid the hard. And guess what? Other people will start to notice too. WFSB knows now that they're not being invited to certain events because they're asking the tough questions. And WFSB, if there's anybody on your staff, anybody there who's listening, this should energize you. This should energize you to say, oh, you're hiding from us? Oh, baby, let's get more reporters on this guy. WTNH, they're not inviting you to stuff? Gee, you should be at his office now. Hi, Governor, understand that you're dodging us, huh? You're ducking. What's going on? Aren't you running for re-election? Don't you want us to cover your campaign? Now you're not inviting us to stuff? And folks, you want to hear the bad part? You want to hear the real, here's the rub. The stuff that they're not inviting news media to is fluff. Even the fluff. That's the wild part. the stuff that's supposed to, like, that is designed to make the governor look good, they're not inviting media to go or to attend or to be there to ask questions. Telling people don't ask anything. As you saw, go watch that Reyes piece, that SeanPaul Reyes piece where he's asking him questions. Saying, hey, no, let's talk on the side. Let's not do it in front of everybody. Because he's ill-equipped. He is not savvy. Because I would have looked, as the governor, I would have looked at SeanPaul Reyes and I would have told him right in front of everybody. You know what? I did see that video. It has gone viral. We're very disappointed about what happened between the two of you. We're going to get to the bottom of it, and my office will contact you immediately. Tell the secretary to get his number, and then give him a call privately and say, yes, we're at the bottom of it. You don't have to make any promises. Just say that you're going to do what you can to get to the bottom of it and leave it alone. Made a phone call, actually said something to the person, moved on. No scandal. But seeing you walk away with your head down, oh, boy, did that look bad. Go watch the video. Go look at the mighty governor fighting for you with his head down. Can't even look the man in the face. That's sad. They're not equipped. That's why they're hiding. We take a break. We'll be back. More news, more views, and then we'll take your phone call soon. And we got Carl Higbie of Frontline on Newsmax coming up. Stick around. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC NewsTalk 1080. Michael C. is in the chat room, and he asked, has Reese talked about the statement released by the colonel of the state police? Michael, if you can clarify, you know what, I'll just answer the two things I think you're talking about. If you're talking about, as it relates to SeanPaul Reyes, I don't know if that's a colonel in this. We are going to talk to SeanPaul Reyes later. If you're talking about as it relates to Reverend Jacob Dell, yes, I responded to it yesterday that the Reverend did receive a message from the colonel, if that indeed is the person that you're referring to, that there is no longer a criminal or isn't a criminal investigation into his tweet. That is where we are. We are going to get into SeanPaul, like I said, Reyes. He is our guest today at 4 o'clock. We'll talk to him about his response to the internal affairs investigation into their altercation. And there are some whoppers in this as I read it today. I spoke to SeanPaul earlier, and we had a good laugh about some of the stuff that's in there. If you're interested in reading it, you got to go to WTNH.com. They've posted it there for you to read. But I highlighted a lot of stuff in there, but SeanPaul Reyes has a lot of stuff he's going to be doing today with regards to it. So, yeah, Michael C., I should say. I will give you last name. I apologize. Join us at about 4:05. SeanPaul will be here to talk about that and those statements. Do you like supplements at all, Roland? Are you a supplements guy? Like taking vitamins or anything like that?
Sorry, I was
That's okay.
Eating chips.
Okay. Do you do any supplements or anything like that?
I did at one point, but
okay.
I stopped once I got to like 35. I didn't
okay.
want to take any more
okay.
supplements because they made you do it in college when we played ball in college.
Oh yeah, really?
They make you take supplements, and I just felt my body just felt weird after a while.
Weird. Okay, yeah, I totally get that. How about like a daily vitamin, like a multivitamin? Like, do you do anything along those lines?
No, not right now.
Okay, my wife
I used to take a vitamin B, and then something happened with it, and it had me feeling funny, so my doctor told me to stop taking it.
Stop taking it. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, right now, my wife has me on Super Beats, a multivitamin, and methylene blue, which I looked up to find out whether or not I was turning myself into a neutron bomb, just to make sure. But it turns out they're all safe, right? They're all safe. I looked it up. But there is something that I have noticed is actually pretty cool. And I don't want to make this appear like an endorsement, but I can't help but mention it because I really, really love it. Have you ever heard of Neurogum?
No.
No? Okay. Try it out. You can find it, I think, at a Walgreens. I don't think CVS has it, but you can find it at a Walgreens. If there's anybody who knows anything about it or tried it out, let me know. I want to hear what your experience about it. It doesn't taste great. It isn't. But it's got this thing called, and I'm going to read it here. I think it's called theoline, if that's correct. I may be pronouncing it poorly. Yes, Dana Lash, yes, sells yeah, we actually take that one, Lori. But this thing's got apparently it's a brain supplement of some sort. It's supposed to be great for brain health. Get your and it's got this caffeine in it, so it makes your brain move really, really fast and really well. And I take it. I have it now in my hands, but it's called NeuroGum. It was featured on, what is it called, babe? L-theanine. Yeah. And it was featured on an episode of Shark Tank. And Joe Rogan talks about it all the time. But I saw it on Shark Tank. And I didn't know whether or not it was ever going to get off the ground. But then I saw it at Walgreens, and I was like, oh, they have it. And then I saw Joe Rogan talk about it, and I was like, oh, let me go try it. And I was going to say that. My wife calls it nerd gum. That's the term.
Now, is it actually chewing gum, or is it just
It is chewing gum. Now, what I'm thinking is, if you ever done, you didn't smoke, so you wouldn't probably know this, but nicotine gum is an awful tasting gum. It just really, 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 awful. This is not as bad. It's got, think about spearmint. The one I have here is cinnamon. It's 90 pieces in a bag. It says it's natural caffeine. That's right, Lori. But it's really good for you, according to people. And I can't stop eating it, even though it's not great. But I chew it until I get all of its, for lack of a better word, nutrients from it, and I spit it out. And
there's a such thing as good caffeine?
Yes. Yeah, I didn't even know that. Yeah, it's called natural caffeine, which is good. It's supposed to be healthy for you. There's actually some people who say that there's that nicotine is beneficial. And I'm actually learning a little bit about that as well. Outside of a cigarette, that natural nicotine is also good for you. And I was like, really? So I'm investigating that. But I feel like I keep bringing this stuff up because I keep saying to myself, I'm putting way too much stuff in my body that's supposed to be helping it, and I'm wondering whether or not I'm making it worse.
Overload.
Yeah, an overload. So I don't know. I feel great, though. I'm not lethargic or tired or anything like that. I have no stomach ailments. I don't, my foot is still there. I'm still okay. Anyway, if you know about it, if you're interested in it, please give me a call or let me know. All right, we got to get to the WTIC newsroom with John Silva. We'll be back. It's WTIC News Talk 1080.
The airing of grievances.
Oh, baby.
I got a lot of problems with you people. Now, you're going to hear about it.
Oh, it's Friday. It's the airing of grievances. This might be the last weekend. We got a lot of stuff going on. I'm going to explain that because we got a lot of changes coming to the show. I never, ever, and Roland is definitely on board with this, I don't like doing the same thing for too long. 6 months for me is enough. We keep the show as it is, but other elements we sort of move on from because after a while it's just, it's no reason. We try to make it entertaining as much as we possibly can. So, yes, it is Airing of Grievance Friday. It'll technically always be. It's also Ladies' Night. Tonight, Rozan's going to join us. She said something to me about the shooting that took place in Georgia at Fort Stewart. And she doesn't know this, but I have some details about this that she hasn't heard of yet. But I want her to tell you what she told me yesterday, and then I'm going to read her the update. So stand by for that. Also, in about 30 minutes, we got Carl Higbie of FRONTLINE on Newsmax joining us. And as I said before, SeanPaul Reyes is back as well. Let's get to some headlines. No, wrong one. That one. This one. In the news, outside of the regular headlines, Anita Dunn, President Joe Biden's former senior advisor, allegedly admitted his inner circle rejected a cognitive test. Anita Dunn disclosed in her closed-door testimony on Thursday to the House Oversight Committee that the test was refused due to offering no political advantage for Joe Biden. Her opening statement, which was leaked, says, while I observed the president aged physically during his time in office, which is something that happens to every president. He remained throughout my interactions with him fully engaged and clear in his directions and supervision. Yeah, sure. The New York Post reports what we've already suspected about Texas Representative Jasmine Crockett-Tubbs. She's a menace. It's a very in-depth piece written this week, and it describes Crockett as a lazy tyrant, worried more about being an influencer than governing. You should read the story, as I did in the New York Post. It turns out that her black staffers do not like her, that she talks a good game when she's out in the public talking about black this and black that, but her own black staffers say that she doesn't care anything about that. They also say in the article, just to give you some background, and you should read it. Trust me, it's that good. It's in the New York Post. They say that what they find cringeworthy is that no matter what the situation is about, she finds a way to make it about Trump, to turn everything towards Trump. And this is, a tactic used by many, Chris Murphy, in order to gain notoriety and to fundraise, make every argument that they have about Trump, like Trump is the foil. And that's no different than Jasmine Crockett. As I saw somebody mention in the chat room, yes, it is true. Letitia James is under criminal probe about her involvement in the prosecution, or I should say litigation, against Donald Trump and the NRA. Here's CNN whining about it.
There are now 2 grand jury subpoenas issued by the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Northern District of New York, looking to get information about James's office, basically trying to see if there was any criminality by her office when she filed that civil lawsuit against the Trump organization. If you remember that lawsuit going to trial and the Trump organization being found liable, having to owe now at this point, because of interest, about $500 million in penalty. So it appears that this is a pursuit to figure out if there was any criminality in the investigation moving forward to that lawsuit. So we're still trying to work out all the details of this, but we also understand there is another subpoena in relation to James suing the NRA, if you remember, the National Rifle Association, which was also found liable after the lawsuit her office files. Now, we know that James is a big adversary of Trump, and we know that Trump has a history of going after people who have gone against him. He's spoken out many times against James herself during the time of that trial, and even most recently. So this is something, of course, that we're going to continue to follow, but that is the latest news that we're getting right now, again, from our Harris Canal.
Now, for those of you who know a little bit about this, you may be asking yourself, if you don't know, why would the Department of Justice be going after Letitia James as it relates to the lawsuit of his properties, the real estate lawsuit, where she got a judgment of $500 million? And why the NRA? Well, what they're looking into is a story we're going to get into later. And that is Letitia James coordinating with the White House in that litigation. Now, what we know for a fact is that Letitia James did go to the White House. The day that she went was an odd one, but it's plausible deniability. The date that she went was the date of the announcement of Ketanji Brown Jackson as Joe Biden's Supreme Court pick. But why she showed up at the vice president's office and met with White House counsel has raised some flags. So that may be the case in all of that. Now let's get to the stupidest thing I read today.
Yes, you do. Stupid as can be. This could very well be the stupidest person on the face of the earth.
Stupidest thing I read today involves none other than Connecticut Deep. Connecticut Inside Investigator is reporting that the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection, DEEP, the government agency in Connecticut, recently checked all of their equipment and tools, and they found out that a lot of items were either missing or have been thrown away without proper records. They reported to state auditors saying that they are missing stuff that's worth about $661,000 in today's value. Let's go over some of the things that Deep has said that they lost. And folks, these are not items that make sense for you to lose or lose count of. They say materials like gas detectors, radios, mobile lab trailers, those total about $298,000. In the air management section, they missing radiation detectors worth about $43,000 to $5,000 each. A generator and an air testing equipment. They also lost things like boats, outboard motors, pumps, fish tanks, and a radar antenna worth about $8,400. Utilities regulations from Pura. They're missing an automatic letter opener. Water sensors, originally $10,000. A scanner, and they even lost a fridge. They lost a fridge. I can't believe it. Deep lost a fridge. How do you lose a fridge? I'm still trying to get over the radiation stuff. But they lost a fridge. Yeah, all of this stuff is listed in the article. Go to Connecticut Inside Investigators for the story and the details. As they are. Of course, I don't know what's going to happen at the end of this. Is anybody going to be accountable for this? Who's going to pay it back? I don't know. But yeah, this all totals $661,000. According to all, it's like, how do you lose a motor or a boat? Who loses a boat? Where do you? If you threw it away, how do you not account for that? And what size was the boat? I mean, if it was like a canoe, or like a rowing boat, I don't want to get the impression like it was some sort of cruise ship. That would be insane. But I would love to know how you lose a boat. It's like a boat is unaccountable. I don't know. It's just crazy. I don't know. When I read it, I just went, this has got to be the dumbest thing I've ever read in my entire life. But there it is. There you have it. Also, I just got word that a Suffolk County sheriff in Boston has been arrested for extortion for $50,000 that he demanded after he gave it to a cannabis farm or a cannabis group for an investment. And after it lost money, he asked for the full $50,000 back. I don't know why people are sending this story to me. I guess because, everybody is prone to be corrupt. It's just something that happens. It's sad, but it's true. It happens more often than you think. And it takes all walks of life. So he was arrested in Florida, sadly enough, and then extradited back to Boston after the fact. But that's what it is. Anyway, we're going to have Carl Higbie of Frontline on the show today. Of course, his show is on Newsmax. We'll talk to him about some of the stories that he's covered, DQuad, whether or not he's continuing that investigation. Into that, we'll also, I know he did an interview with the president not too long ago, with President Donald Trump. I'll talk to him a little bit about that, what that experience was like. Also, about his career in news. And I'm also going to ask him whether or not he's ever tempted to cover some of the stuff that's going on right here in Connecticut and putting that in a national spotlight. And, if he has any of that kind of stuff in his sights. So we'll get to also that as well. Also, other good news, folks, you can now find Reese on the Radio on X or on Twitter, whichever it is you call it, because we actually fixed that bug. I just figured it out today before the show. So now, those of you who really, really enjoyed watching the show on X, and there are a lot of people, a lot of you who follow me on X or Twitter for that matter, I'm saying, hey, what happened to the X show? It's there now. So now you can check it out. Now, let's go to the phones. Since we can, let's go to Frankie Boy. What's going on, sir?
A couple of things. One, Trump ordered the military to go after the drug cartels. this should have been done 20 or 30 years
Is
ago.
that I heard a report that suggested he was thinking about it. Do we have confirmation?
No. I heard, well, according to the New York Times, plans are being made right now. He should go after these people and kill them. The number one obligation of the United States government is to protect the people. Now, the media is calling this the cops should take care of this problem. The cops can't take care of that problem. They don't have the resources.
Yeah, but this is, people don't understand that if you have a drug cartel bringing drugs into the country that harms Americans in some fashion or form, you could suggest it's an act of war. Is it not?
Oh, definitely.
In my view. Now, I know that seems, and a lot of people are saying that if we're going across foreign soil to go after an enemy, some people will make the argument that we're sort of cleaning up every other people's backyard. But I think we have a predicate here that suggests that what we're doing saves lives on this side of the border. There's an American interest in all of that. So
you're right, and everybody's being affected. Two other things. Second, this was great news this morning. Rudy's going to love this. Trump's going to put a tariff on gold. Watch out. You can see gold go up 20% or more within the next month.
I did hear about that. I forgot about you on that story. Totally forgot.
That's my second bit. And third, I know this woman. I love her. She's a 49-year-old woman, and she claims that she's a feminist, okay? But yet she's married to a man who had ambition, worked very hard. He's reached the top of his goal. And what does this 49-year-old feminist do? She quits her job and has the man support her. Oh, say hello to Rozan when she comes on.
I definitely will.
Frank said hello. Come on, Rozan. Nonsense.
Yeah,
You're not a feminist.
I know.
You're a lucky woman.
You know what? Frank, I always say to her, when we were first, we weren't really courting, but I was trying to tell her that I was interested in her, and we were out at a mall. We were doing some shopping for some friends of ours who were about to get married. We were trying to get their kid a suit. Actually, I was buying the kid a suit as a wedding gift. And we're out there, and Roseanne and I are going bantering back and forth, and we're at a Marshall's or something, getting some nonsense. I can't remember what it was. But I grabbed like a pair of socks, and then she grabbed a pair of shoes she thought were cute. She puts them on the counter, and I say to the woman, yeah, you just lump. I'll pay for all of that. And Roseanne looks at me and she goes, excuse me, I'm an independent woman. I can pay for my own shoes. And I looked at her and I went, that's adorable. Ma'am, can you please put that on my bill? And she was outraged that I said that.
What are you paying for now, Roseanne? You're retired.
But she says, she looked at me, she went, what? Like I said, oh, that's adorable. And
every woman wants to be a feminist until they marry a man that can support them.
Yeah. But you know what? It's afterwards. I think I saved my behind after I said the whole that's cute thing was because after I saw she was outraged, I looked at her and I said, listen, this is how I flirt. Let me buy this shoes. And
I'm going to say one more other thing. I want to say one more other thing. And I mean this. You've been going around lately. I don't listen to you every second. And you've been, giving people not condolences. You've been sharing your gratification that people help you along the way, which is true.
Absolutely.
I mean this. You deserve everything you have. You have ambition. You worked hard. You had the desire and the will, Reese. You could thank anybody you want. It's no accident that you have this job. You deserve it, my friend.
Thank you. I really do appreciate that, and thank you for that.
Have a good weekend.
Thank you, man. You too. Let's go to Rudy. What's going on, sir?
Hey, that endorsement sounded like Frank Biden. I mean, Joe Biden. I got two things. Two quick things. One, I'm very disappointed that a man named Reese has run out of a lack of speaking, and he's bringing his wife on to carry him.
Oh, that's mean. That is mean.
Wife, I can understand one wife, and then you give it a second shot. She must be a saint, because I'm not going to blame your ex-wife.
Oh, you can't blame my ex-wife. Listen to me. If there's
you're on number 4.
Yes.
And it's like that commercial.
What's
you
that?
Have life insurance, and you're on number 4.
Right. That's one of my favorite commercials. My wife loves that too. And he goes up.
Sponsor your show.
He's on number 2.
Hey, so I've got him blocked by a couple. I think there's some listeners on the show, and you can look this up.
Okay.
That have anencephaly.
Okay.
If you need me to spell it, I will. But I got blocked by a few because they're crying for Elon Musk and Doge to investigate Connecticut.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you saw the Florida news on Monday.
Mm-mm.
So Florida has now developed their own Doge.
Oh, okay.
And it's called the Florida Agency for Fiscal Oversight. What are the FAFO, baby. And
I just got it when you said it.
We have county governments here that control the school systems.
Okay.
So there's only one superintendent for the county schools, unlike Connecticut that has one for every town. So that's why our property taxes are $6 per thousand assessed.
Right.
But they're going after Broward County, Palm Beach County, Manatee County, because these counties have increased fees or taxes more than like 25%. Some of them up to 40-something%. So he wants to find out where the government waste is at the county because he doesn't want residents to be paying for garbage. Like they just found one school district has those books.
Yeah.
That are like gender queer books
Sure.
elementary school. And they're not supposed to be there. So we have a FAFO agency now.
You know what? I love the inspiration because that's coming from Washington. That these guys have got the temerity to do this stuff.
I used you at a table yesterday, so I'm asking for forgiveness.
You used me as a what?
At a table. So I got a grandmother and a mother, and the son, and who's also the grandson. He's about 6'4", skinny as a rail, about 20 years old. I go, "Can you dunk?" He goes, "Hell yeah, I can dunk." And he's light-skinned.
Yeah.
And I go, "Let me tell you a funny story about this guy I know. He's from the Bronx. He's taller than me. How tall are you?"
I am 6'3".
All right, you got an inch on me. I go, and his mother, to this day, will tell him he's as worthless as a two-story house without a staircase because he can't play basketball, he can't dunk, but he's on a radio show that half of New England hears, and he's trying to take on a WNBA player.
Hey,
and I asked
they
him how he's gonna do it.
chickened out, my friend. They said that they were insulted at the idea. They backed away. So don't put it on me. Put it on them. I was raring to go.
Put it on you. I'm just saying you challenge him, and I'm like, he would do a Dennis Rodman on him. I want Dennis Rodman to put his dress back on, date Madonna, and try out for the WNBA. But
does he have to date Madonna in order to do it? Can we do without that?
Well, I mean, that's what was going on back in the day when he was wearing a dress with a fishing tackle on his front lip. Hey, did you know in Chicago they had a sign on the Eisenhower Expressway? And if traffic was
we gotta go, man.
Down, his hair was green.
Yeah.
And if it was slow, it was yellow.
Exactly. I gotta go, Rudy. But thank you, buddy. Let's take a break. We'll be back. More news, more views. We've got Carl Higbie from Frontline on Newsmax in the next break. So stick around. We'll talk to him and so much more. It's Reese on Radio on WTIC NewsTalk 1080.
The airing of grievances. I got a lot of problems with you people. Now, you're going to hear about it.
All right, folks, we are back. And as promised, we thank him so much for giving us a call and joining the show today from Frontline on Newsmax at 5 p.m. None other than Carl Higbie is with us. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you.
Hey, man. Thanks for having me on.
Listen, I've been trying to get somebody on at Newsmax for the longest. I mean, I could do Fox News all day, but they're everywhere. And no offense, but Newsmax is one of the fastest growing cable news networks around, and you guys are stars. I mean, from Greg Kelly to everybody else. I just wanted to have somebody on, and when I heard that I could get in touch with you, I tried, and I got you, so I'm very, very satisfied. How are you?
Thanks, man. I'm great.
Fantastic. One of the reasons why I wanted to is, aside from the fact that many of the guests on this show have been on your program, but you have been talking about something that I have been trying to get my head around, and that is the use of DQuat in the Connecticut River and other waterways in Connecticut. You were very vocal about that on your show. What, aside from the fact that, of course, you're Greenwich native, Greenwich High School, that whole bit, did you cover it because of either outside of just concerns, or did you feel like it wasn't being covered in a good way or a reasonable way?
Well, so here's the deal. Like I'm a big outdoorsman. So I have a property upstate. I'm a big hunter and fisher, and like the environment is like really important to me.
Okay.
And which is, shocking for a lot of liberals who don't know me. They're like, well, what? You're just a conservative who drives a big diesel pickup truck. It's like, yeah, I actually, keep hundreds of acres of my own. But the issue with this is like, these people are just, the crazier thing is they said they weren't going to do it, and then they did it anyway, like on a whim. But here's the thing. When you spray this pesticide, this is 100 times more potent than the Roundup, the glyphosate that is already causing problems, known problems in people's health. They are going into, neighborhoods and waterways with no concern whether or not you live right next to that waterway, you swim in that waterway, you boat or fish, and you eat the fish out of that waterway. And they're just doing this, and they're not really making a great effort to tell anybody that they're doing it. They're just like, yeah, we're going to do this. We've got this invasive plant that we need to get rid of. Plants grow. That's called nature. And you know how people balance this in other states? They introduced carp. And guess what the carp did? They introduced non-breedable, basically genetically neutered carp.
Yep.
So they couldn't breed. The carp came in, they ate all this stuff, and then a couple years later just died. And then it was fine. But also, this is what nature does. And every time mankind tries to F with nature, you end up making it worse. Cloud seeding, whatever else they want to do. They just screw things up. Maybe nature got it right, and we should just live around whatever stupid plant they're calling invasive.
Carl Higbie joins us from Frontline on Newsmax. Thank you, sir. I want to stick with this a little bit. This is because you mentioned the carp. I've done all the studying I possibly could do on hydrilla and the way it's dealt with in other places around the country. And you bringing up carp was an important one. We actually got the folks over at CAES to at least consider the mechanical removal through eco-harvesters. We got a local company in Connecticut to help at least establish a relationship with DEEP and the EPA to see if we could do it without the poisons. And they finally decided to do that, to at least go down there and test it. But what I want to ask you about this with the EPA and with DEEP and all that other stuff, weren't you, and you grew up here, weren't you under the impression that Connecticut had one of the greenest thumbs in the land? Were you as surprised as I was that they would go the chemical way?
Well, yeah, I was, especially, I mean, look, I live in Greenwich, Connecticut, where they just banned gas leaf blowers. So, I'm sorry, you're doing that for the climate or whatever. This is supposed to be like Greenie McGreen, where they raise taxes on fuel and all this crap, and then Ned Lamont bulldozes 2 acres of his backyard into wetlands so we can build a yard.
Yeah.
All right? This is the most hypocritical stuff I've ever seen. Okay? When it's like rules for thee, but not for me. The people in my hometown who passed the leaf blower ban, by the way, they just got rolled up for using gas leaf blowers still. So it's never applies to the people who are doing this. If you want, I work in Manhattan. I'm sitting in Manhattan right now. And it's full of these, the environment, climate change, we got to protect it. It's like you live in a 70-story block of concrete, and you're going to lecture me, who I personally maintain well over 100 acres of property and cultivate, hunt my own food and grow my own crops in the summer. You're going to tell me about the environment? These people have never spent a day in the environment. And then they want to come in and spray hydrilla plant, which, by the way, has been on the planet longer than we have as humans.
Indeed.
There's so many things they could have done differently, but nope. Some moron somewhere probably has stock in some company that buys this thing.
Carl Higbie of Frontline on Newsmax is with us. If you're just joining us, let me ask you this, because I'm going to tell you, I've been dying. This is the one question I'm dying to ask you, because you have a national platform. As you said, you're in Manhattan now. So you leave Greenwich, you live in Greenwich, you go and work in Manhattan. You're a national show. You've got a lot of stuff to cover. I've got to ask you this just on a news guy and doing a talk show, as we both do. Because you live in Connecticut and you know so much that's going on here, how tempted are you daily to tell your national audience about the craziness that is happening in the nutmeg state.
I use Connecticut as an example all the time. I mean, some of the nut jobbery that we see there. We've been doing this whole thing. You know how Trump wants to redistrict?
Yeah.
And all the Republican states are now saying, hey, Democrats have been screwing us over on redistricting for 30 years and keeping 25 congressional seats away from. I was like, yesterday on my show, I put up a map of the congressional districts in Connecticut because Rosa DeLauro, the Purple People Eater, she's been whining about, Republicans are Nazis because they want to redistrict. I was like, you're literally representing a district that looks like a hammer.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, don't tell me in between hits on your bong that you're going to, this is somehow fair that you redistricted rural Litchfield County into Hartford simply so you could retain that 5th congressional seat. Get bent.
God bless you. Tell me a little bit about how the heck because I know you've been everywhere. You're former Navy SEAL, of course. You've got the Great American PAC. You're a spokesman for and a board member.
I was some time ago. Now I just do the Newsmax thing full time.
Okay, and what got you into news and political analysis? Was it by accident? Did you just start doing news hits here and there and figure you venture?
Well, it all started when I was on active duty. So, have you ever seen the movie American Sniper?
Of course.
All right, so I was actually deployed with Chris Kyle in 07 and then 09. You know the guy in that movie who's going around drilling holes in people's head with like a DeWalt drill?
Oh, yeah.
So we catch that guy in 2009 in real life.
Wow.
We bring him back. We were like, very by the book because he was a very high-profile target, and everybody wanted to, interrogate this guy. So we bring him back. He bites his lip. He says we abused him. The doctor examined him, was like, no, this is a self-inflicted bite wound, and he's just playing the cards that he's dealt.
Yeah.
So they court-martialed all of us, and I was like, what the hell with this, man? Like, I've spent 9 years in and out of Iraq as a SEAL when I could have, I could have gotten a job in finance and been making bank. Instead, I'm over here in the desert with no air conditioning dealing with this idiot.
By the way, whose administration was this when you had to deal with the court-martial? Who's in charge?
That was Obama.
That's what I thought. We'll get into that. Go ahead.
Man, that guy was such a turd, man. So we go out and they court-martial us, and finally I'm like, I got to write a book about this stuff. Like, there's so many problems, and like this is the tip of the iceberg. So I write this book, and it was started off as a venting thing.
Yeah.
And then someone's like, dude, this is hilarious. You need to publish this. It's called Battle on the Home Front.
Yep.
And so I write this thing, and it's basically like if you and I were to go get a beer and just start whining about all the problems that we had in life and then propose our own solutions, that's the whole book. So, and most people didn't know I could read. So when I wrote my first book, they were like, wow, this is crazy. So I published this thing, and then networks started picking me up and started, they were like, hey, we want you to come on air and like say the same stuff in your book because it seems pretty rational and it occasionally offends people and it's funny. I was like, all right. And then so one thing led to another, and I ended up here.
I think it's a great journey because, again, it's like all of the other stuff that sort of happens in your life leads you in that one direction that ends up being incredible, like one of the best decisions or things that ever happened to you. I only want to get into this for a little bit because you said something about the leading to your court-martial with the value target that you end up getting, and the guy says that he was abused. I want to tell you something a little bit that you might remember. I don't know if you did, but I'm hoping that you did. 60 Minutes was doing an interview with some of the Black Ops guys who had interviewed Khalid Sheikh Mohammed.
Yeah, KSM.
Yeah, and they were talking to, I think, Leslie Stahl or somebody else. It may have been Leslie Stahl. But was talking about how, they were talking about how Khalid Sheikh Mohammed was saying that how the liberal media was going to admonish these guys who were waterboarding them because of the changing atmosphere under the Obama administration about torture. Saying that people were going to look upon the waterboarding of Khalid Sheikh Mohammed to get information, that they would look favorably towards Khalid Sheikh Mohammed and look unfavorably towards the people trying to get the information. And sure enough, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, a guy who they found in a rock, in a rock, it's a literal rock formation, this guy actually ended up being right.
Yeah. This is the problem. When you have a bunch of white-shoed bureaucrats that nobody ever elected, that have never been shot at, making decisions on what rules of engagement should be, it's like, look, dude, All right, I dropped out of college after 9/11 to go shoot bad guys. That was my only intent. They were like, "Oh, well, patriotism and all this." I was like, "No, I want to go kill the people who tried to knock down my buildings." That's all. I'm not a complicated guy. So let me go over there and do it. And then I get there, and they're like, "Well, there's rules of engagement." Like what? Like we did, first off, when I joined after 9/11, they were like, "Well, as soon as we can get you in is 7 months, sir." And I was like, 7? We just declared war in a foreign country. Like, dude, this is the military. This is the bureaucratic process. Sucks. So, and this is what I love about Pete Hegseth, who's, been a friend of mine for a long time. I think he's doing a great job. And I'm like, hey, here's a noble, like, remember, in the last thing, they couldn't meet recruiting goals because they had drag queens putting on lipstick.
Indeed.
And up and down aircraft carriers and stuff like this. And all of a sudden we get in and they start having actual commercials of guys going out and shooting bad guys. And all of a sudden people want to join again.
Indeed.
So I look at this and I'm like, this is not hard. Like, the military is the one place that should be void of politics. It should just be like, who is the best at killing bad guys? That's all. And then you know what you do? Once you train them, once you spend $15 million to train someone like me, you go let us kill bad guys. And then you know what? You don't have as many in the world anymore? Bad guys. And they're in a safer place.
I had an interview, Carl, with Phil Donahue back in 2008, and he almost lost his mind because he was, he had a documentary that was against the war in Iraq. And he lost his mind when I looked him right in his face. He goes, you support the war in Iraq? And I was like, remember how we used to say, kill a commie for your mommy? I've come up with a new one, kill an Iraqi for your pappy. That was my new one. He didn't like that much, but he was annoyed. And guess who he was touting, to show you exactly who the left is? Who he was touting as a person who was the right side of that issue about fighting terrorists, no matter where they were, was none other than Robert Byrd of West Virginia. Which let me know exactly where the mindset was about going to war.
Yeah. Well, that was Biden's buddy, too.
Yeah, indeed. Absolutely. So tell me, Carl, what do you got going on now? What are the news stories that you're sort of like sunk your teeth into? Is it local stuff? I mean, is it stuff pertaining to this? I know you're talking about anything and everything that's happening in the Trump administration. There's a new report that just dropped about Bill Burr. Have you seen that?
Yeah, Bill Barr. Yeah.
Bill Burr. Bill Burr's a comedian. Bill Barr, yes.
Yeah, exactly. Bill Burr's hilarious.
Yes, Bill Barr. What's your take on that, if any?
Well, I mean, tonight we're covering this. I don't know if you saw what's going on with Letitia James, Big Tish.
Oh yeah, can't wait. I just talked about it a minute ago.
Oh, she's the worst. All right, so this woman values Mar-a-Lago at $18 million, even though the house next door, which is 1/18 the size, went for $19 million. But whatever. So she predicates her whole case on valuations of Trump's property like that, finds him for $450 million.
Yep.
By the way, the most gangster thing he ever did. When they asked him about the bond, he turned around and he was like, cash, and just walked out. And so now she's under investigation. She's like, oh, this is politically motivated. It's like, yeah, how does that feel, lady?
Exactly.
Like, that's what you did. It's like, you know what? I hope you get the same. They should do the federal grand jury. They should do it in West Virginia that didn't have a single county vote for Kamala Harris.
Yep. I think that this investigation, even the one that she put, the litigation that she did against the NRA, I think this investigation is because Pam Bondi believes that this was all coordinated by the White House.
Yeah, I mean, look, and I think they're going to find that, especially when they start looking into, the coordination across state lines. I think they're going to find out. I think they're going to find out a ton of stuff when they start. I mean, look, they're probably burning stuff right now in the New York Attorney General.
Oh, I'm telling you, I couldn't agree more. And the reason why I know that that's exactly what it's about is because we found out that what's his name, Wade from Willis and Wade, her paramour,
Nathan Wade.
Yeah, Nathan Wade. We found out that he was secretly meeting with White House counsel in Augusta. So,
and then wasn't secret. He was billing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Well, he exposed it because he was so much nickel and diming that office that he exposed the thing that he was supposed to keep secret. But I think that's what's going on with Letitia James in this investigation is that if all of this was in coordination with the White House counsel, then it was all a coup. Like, it's all a mess. So she deserves what she's getting. But the Bill Barr thing, are you covering it at all, or do you have some suspicion?
So we covered it the other day that he was. I mean, like, literally, this is the guy. Like, I had actually high hopes for him coming in, and now I find out that he may have been running an entire legal ring to try to undermine the president. Like, hold up here.
Yeah.
Like, that's literally an insurrection. Like, where's Adam Cryan Kinzinger and Liz Cheney, who lost her seat by 33 points in Wyoming, by the way, or 31 points or whatever it was.
Unheard of.
Be a Hageman, who's awesome, by the way. Mm-hmm. And, this is the thing is, like, it's so one-way, Jack. I hope, and people are like, oh, Carl, we need to take the high road. And we need to, be Robert's Rules of Order. It's like, screw that. We're going to do to them exactly what they did to us. And when because they actually did things that are wrong.
That's right.
And we're finding this out with Hillary Clinton and all, the Russiagate and all that stuff. Like, so when we bury them at their own game, maybe then they'll start to cry uncle, and then we'll just go a little bit further. But like, nothing would make me happier than to put Letitia James in a orange jumpsuit at Rikers Island. Like, go for it, lady, because you did such harm to this city. I mean, she drove out so much real estate business from New York State.
She did.
After that case. She should be held criminally liable just for that alone.
Yeah, agreed. There's so much, I'm telling you, people didn't like it when Donald Trump said it, but in that speech, and I still hold it dear, I even got a T-shirt made. When he said, I am your retribution, that's been for me, that's been the letter of the law as far as I'm concerned, is that everybody who did everything, there's no sort of political prosecution of his enemies. This is indeed retribution for everything that they did wrong, and they should pay tenfold for it.
Totally, man. I mean, this is like this. People say, "Oh, you just want revenge." Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I do, and I'm not shy about it, because you know what? You guys told me that I'm a horrible, no good, racist, Nazi, istophobic, phobophobe for like 8 years.
Yeah.
And now it turns out I was right about basically everything.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys were the ones who were doing the shady stuff the whole time.
Indeed. Carl Higbie of Frontline on Newsmax. Check him out at 5 o'clock, of course, today and every weekday. What you got going on the show today before I let you go?
Oh, man, we're doing the whole rundown on Big Tish tonight.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, it is big stuff. I will admit that figuratively and literally. So have a great show.
Whale of a tale, dare I say.
Thank you, sir, for coming on. I can't wait to have you back. And it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Likewise.
You got it. Carl Higbie, ladies and gentlemen, from Newsmax. Check him out 5 o'clock weekdays on Newsmax. I think you can get him at newsmax.com. So we got much more, and let's get to our first check of weather and traffic. I don't know who's in for Jason Caterina today, so maybe I'll find out now. But Mark Christopher, he's in the BPS Traffic Center. Hey, Mark.
It's Reese on the radio. And don't say we didn't warn you on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
Oh, baby, thank you, Carl Higbie, for being on the program. I just finished. I sent him a nice message because of your messages here in the chat room. Saying that you enjoyed his interview. If you've never heard of him before, go check him out. He's 5 o'clock. Yes, I know when this show was on, but DVR. But check him out anyway. It's great. We'll have him back without a doubt. He was far more entertaining than I thought he would be. I mean, I knew he was good. I watched the show, but he was far more entertaining than I thought he would be. I want to thank Joshua. Thank you for the note. I don't want to. I almost feel self-gratifying to read what you wrote. But those of you who can read it in the chat room, you'll read it yourselves. I just, but thank you. I'm very grateful that you wrote that. Thank you. Much appreciated. Spawn says one of the best guests, yet a true patriot. Yes, he is. And his story is just as compelling, if anything. I love stories like that. The guests that we've had on recently have a great backstory. If you really think about it, it tells you. And as much as I talk about how much I love Hollywood, right? I listen to the stories of the guests that we have, and the first thing that runs through my mind, because, again, I love movies, I'm going, damn, they should make a movie about that. That's what I say all the time.
Savory, flavory, bagel, deli, and bakery. Between rounds.
And it's time to announce today's winner of Between Rounds dozen bagels a month for 6 months, courtesy of Between Rounds, the Bagel Bakery and Sandwich Cafe. Norma L. of Plainville is today's winner. She gets, again, a dozen bagels a month for 6 months. If you'd like that opportunity, you got to go to ReeseOnTheRadio.com. That's REESE on the radio. ReeseOnTheRadio.com. People keep saying I need to promote the website more, so I'll do that now. ReeseOnTheRadio.com. It's everything. If you missed the show and you want to listen commercial-free, you can go, of course, to WTIC, download the Odyssey app, or you can just check out Reese on the Radio, and you can send me a message while you're listening to the show. You just go, hey, Reese, I was listening, and you said this, that, and the third, and I think you're wrong. I get those a lot. But you can do that just by going to REESE on the radio.com. Yeah, we're going to hear about it. I know somebody who's probably got a grievance today. He's on the line right now, and welcome back to him. SeanPaul Reyes of Long Island Audit is back. Would you forget about me again?
I did forget about you, Reese. My apologies, man.
Hey, come on, man. You're not supposed to forget the 6'3" black conservative. You're never supposed to forget about me. I'm a sore thumb out here. You gotta remember me. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me again.
My pleasure. Look, hey, come on. How can we not? That's why I was desperate to get in touch with you. So we have new details with regards to your story, and for anybody who's been living under a rock, they know exactly what happened.
Get that gun out of damn Connecticut State Trooper. I don't care who you are. Right now. You spit in my face. My property You're going to jail now.
Yeah, so we didn't get him to go to jail, but we did get some new information when it comes to Sergeant Brian Fahey. Break the news for those of us who do not know.
So the Connecticut State Police did release an internal affairs report, and apparently he was on unpaid suspension before his retirement.
Mm-hmm. So now, when he retired, which I knew was going to happen, I predicted it when I covered your story. I covered it on the weekend. By Monday, he had retired, and everyone said, he's not going to go, he's going to stick around. And sure enough, as I predicted, he's gone. Then when you were on Wednesday, people said, nothing's going to come of it. Sure enough, he gets suspended without pay. I tell people, stop doubting me. I never get it wrong. I am like 25 for 25. I never get this stuff wrong. So he gets suspended. But what's an issue here, and the reason why you're here, is because of the report that was released by WTNH and, of course, released by Internal Affairs. You took some issue with it, as did I, and we had a good laugh earlier today. Can I read a few of them that threw me for a loop, and then talk about right you can talk about some of the others? Okay, so the summary and conclusion. These are the ones that I yellowed out. Long Island Audit video begins by attempting to persuade its audience that the property was not posted with no trespassing signs. However, both Sergeant Fahey and his wife, in separate 911 calls made during the incident, while separated by both sight and sound, independently affirmed that the property was clearly marked with no trespassing signage. The police department report notes that video footage posted by Mr. Reyes appears to have been edited to omit the specific portions of his initial approach to the residence and subsequent retreat where the signage would have been visible, which we know is bogus. That is absolutely farcical, because you never cut when he approaches you. In fact, from the moment you are at the door till you reach the cul-de-sac and you go what's got to be considered maybe 2 football fields in length from his front door to the cul-de-sac, you are backing up. The video never edits.
Yeah, and they even go as far to give a timestamp of where I edited the video. I believe they said it was between 5:10, 5:15. And it threw me for a loop, because I went and watched the video again myself, and I was like, did I, by accident, edit something? And sure enough, I did not. There was no edits in that video at that timestamp.
It shows you how persuasive they can be, where you have to even question your own work, right? Like, you have to go back, but you have to be diligent in this, because they are in fact trying to suggest that you are deceiving the audience and what people saw. Let's get to another part that I point out. The video portrays SeanPaul Reyes.
Exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, exactly. The video portrays SeanPaul Reyes at the front door of Sergeant Fahey's residence, appearing to ask journalistic questions regarding Sergeant Fahey's overtime. However, the video omits critical context. It fails to convey that SeanPaul Reyes is a known convicted felon to Sergeant Fahey, and that he was accompanied by a cameraman wearing a mask and hood, circumstances that contributed significantly to the perceived threat. Please, your response.
So, the convicted felon part, 13 years ago, I've never been convicted of a crime before that, never was convicted of a crime after that. That's what they do. They go on to say that I used a firearm in that crime. That is not true. Again, another lie by the state police. Another lie is my cameraman wasn't wearing a hood or a mask, neither. And he's visible clearly in the video. You know, the amount of lies and the amount of spin that they're putting on this, the creative writing is just unbelievable to me that they would put this out there. Maybe they're assuming that nobody's going to watch that, people
Indeed.
aren't going to go verify it, and they're going to put out their statement, and then all of the people who support the police without, any sort of critical thinking and just blindly support the police are going to say, oh, look, he was wearing a mask and a hood, of course. He's a dangerous convicted felon, of course. Again, they leave out the context of that was 13 years ago.
Yes.
And since then have not been convicted of any crimes. In fact, they didn't put that I work with police officers. They don't put that I do ride-alongs, that I am fully supportive of the police. Again, they leave out context and, in fact, lie.
Yeah, let's talk about that because the lie gets deep. In this report, and I'm going to read this paragraph, what I noticed about this particular part of the report, this has nothing to do with the investigation. This part of the report almost appears to be appealing to the audience who witnessed what they saw. Let me read it. Additionally, the average viewer would be unaware of the extensive and ongoing harassment directed at Sergeant Fahey. That's a little bit of an editorial. This includes thousands of harassing emails, Facebook messages and posts, phone calls, and pieces of United States Postal Service mail. Sergeant Fahey has also observed hundreds, if not thousands, of YouTube comments and videos referencing him. While not all these messages contain explicit threats, many include direct and implied threats to his life. The video fails to accurately represent the full scope of the incident, as it did not solely involve Sergeant Fahey. This gets rich. At the time of the encounter, by the way, this next sentence has nothing to do with the story. At the time of the encounter, both Fahey's wife and daughter were present inside the residence. Upon becoming aware of the situation, Sergeant Fahey's wife entered a state of distress and immediately instructed their daughter to go upstairs and remain in her room for safety. Now, only reason I'm going to let you respond to this, but I just got to tell the audience what flies in the face that this is even a part of the story, what makes this so egregious, is that all of that statement is null and void the moment Sergeant Fahey goes into his home and comes out of his home with a weapon, as SeanPaul Reyes is now a football field distant away from the home. Because, again, if the wife is in jeopardy and the daughter is in jeopardy, the only thing he needs to do is, with his firearm, stay in the house, lock the doors, call the police, and if anybody comes through that front door, shoot them. Correct?
I said this in my channel, on my YouTube channel. Sergeant Fahey claims he was protecting his family and his home, but he went the exact opposite direction of his family and his home. I am all for people protecting their homes and their families. That's fine. But he was the aggressor. He came and sought me out as I was leaving. I left immediately. And again, they paint this narrative of victim wife, victim daughter, victim children. But they leave out, again, they're leaving out context that they don't want anybody to know. Sergeant Fahey's wife, there was protests happening, not by me, by other individuals outside of the Groton Police Department. Mm-hmm. Sergeant Fahey's family, including his wife, aggressively approached these protesters, giving them the middle finger, cursing at them, screaming at them, following them in their vehicles.
Wow.
Harassing protesters. I have it on video, and it's going to be on my YouTube channel tonight. Again, those aren't the actions of people who are terrified and scared. This is the actions of people who are terrified and scared. Sergeant Fahey wasn't scared, and I don't believe his family was, because if they would have just stayed in their house, not harassed protesters that they don't know.
And this is where, again, there was a lot of editorializing in this report. Here's the one that made me write. I wrote next to it, wow. Folks, get a load of this. While the video portrays SeanPaul Reyes as backpedaling off the property after being asked to leave, Sergeant Fahey stated that in reality, not what you saw, folks, in reality, Mr. Reyes is moving deeper onto the property, specifically onto the front lawn. Sergeant Fahey reported that based on Mr. Reyes' actions and positioning, he reasonably believed that Mr. Reyes was not attempting to leave, but instead continuing to remain unlawfully on the property with the intent to further victimize him and his family. So your backpedaling away from the front door is not what we saw. What we saw is your backpedaling as aggressively staying on his property. You know what this reminds me of? And I'll let you answer this. This reminds me of Eric Garcetti in Los Angeles during COVID, where he told everybody that the only place you could walk on the beach was on the wet sand, but you couldn't walk on the dry sand, which lends the question, how the hell do I get to the wet sand without walking on the dry sand? You, on the other hand, by walking away and backpedaling and filming yourself doing it, that you were indeed walking forward, going closer to the house, putting his family in jeopardy. Your response, sir.
The video clearly shows, I don't know what alternate reality that the state police are referring to here. The video clearly shows me taking the same path that I took going onto the property, which is the most direct path to leaving the property. If I would have went left and taken the driveway, for example, that would have been a longer way to leave the property. There was no physical way I could have left the property any sooner or taken a direction. I took the most direct route to leave the property.
The same way you came in.
Creative writing.
Yeah, no, you say it was the same way you came in. It is creative writing. It is. What else, before I let you go?
Fall for it, Reese. That's the danger of this.
Yeah.
Is that there's going to be people out there that are going to take this as gospel truth. There's no trespassing signs. I stayed on the property. My cameraman was wearing a ski mask and a hood. All of these things, these lies, these blatant lies that can be disproven. This is not a he said, she said. It's provable.
Yeah.
And they lie, and people are going to take this as the gospel truth.
Well, not anymore. That's the reason why you're here. You know, and look, I understand your YouTube channel is widespread. People are going to watch it. But see, here in Connecticut, that's the reason why we do this show. Is that when we know there are going to be newspaper outlets and other news media that are going to report on that, and because of this conversation, they'll have no choice but to print the truth. They'll have no choice but to expose this nonsense.
Problem, Reese, really quickly, that's my problem with the mainstream corporate media, is that they're reporting on this, but they're not doing any sort of independent investigation.
Nope.
They are just regurgitating what the state police is saying to the masses, to the residents of Connecticut. Why don't they accurately report that the video clearly doesn't show any no trespassing signs? The video clearly shows that the cameraman doesn't have a mask or a hood. These are things that this is why people don't trust the corporate media anymore, and they're starting to watch more independent journalists like myself, is because they just do what the Connecticut State Police tell them to do. Here's the report, read it to the people.
Well, SeanPaul, I know you got to do your thing. Are you doing a live video today, or are you just recording a new one today?
No, I'm doing a live stream at 6 p.m.
Okay, live p.m. at the end of this show. Go check out SeanPaul Reyes. Sir, it's always a pleasure to have you here. If there are any other developments, I'll holler at you, okay?
I will be back.
You got it.
I will be back, no problem. I'd love to give the Connecticut residents the truth, and so they can hear the actual truth, not the made-up propaganda. Again, you support the police blindly, that's your business. But again, you shouldn't support the people in power blindly. We the people need to stick together and call out what's wrong and what's illegal.
You got it, sir. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you. SeanPaul Reyes, folks, of Long Island Audit. Let's get some weather and traffic with Jason. No, Jason Caterina is not here right now. Anyway, we got Mark Christopher. He's in the BPS Traffic Center.
Reese on the radio is on WTIC News Talk 1080.
We're back. It's ladies' night, airing of grievances. I want to thank Carl Higbie. I want to thank SeanPaul Reyes for coming back. A whole bunch of stuff going on. We got, of course, Rozan is in the house.
It's ladies' night, all night.
You might, if you're watching on the camera, it looks like she is in some sort of bunker in some sort of.
He's got me in the basement.
Yeah, somewhere in the basement, but she's not. We're having a lighting issue. It's a weird thing that's going on. We'll figure it out. One day it's good, another day it's not so much. But Rozan, I want to talk to you about something that you said yesterday. We were talking off the air, of course, in our regular conversation about the shooting at Fort Stewart.
Yeah.
And I want you to say right now, what did you believe was? Let me give some background. I'm sorry. Let me do this. So, for those of you who don't know, there was a shooting of 5 individuals at Fort Stewart in Georgia near Savannah, and they caught the individual. Soldiers jumped in, tackled him, and stopped him. There were reports that he was able to keep from his chain of command that he had gotten a DUI.
Right.
And I told you that his father had reported to the Post that he was suffering or experienced some racism at Fort Stewart for some time. He had been there since 2022. When I brought that up to you, tell everybody here in about a minute what you said you thought of.
It's real simple.
Go ahead.
Okay, so DUIs are not uncommon within the military ranks. Unfortunately, it is a more common than one would expect.
Right.
But I'm thinking the DUI happened back in May. How his chain of command didn't have word of it is beyond me, right? But a DUI in May, no change in behavior, no history of mental illness, as far as the chain of command was aware. I honestly believe that this has something to do with a woman or man if he's that way, but this is relationship related. This soldier got cheated on and did what every other, soldier does in a time like this when we try to cope is, we turn to substances, we turn to alcohol. And it would not surprise me at all if the person with whom his significant other cheated was within those 5 that.
So you believe that it was relationship-wise?
I really do,
okay.
Honestly.
There is a new report. You have not heard of it,
no.
heard about it. But
Am
when
I
we
wrong?
when we get back, no, trust me. Listen, you're my wife. I know better than to embarrass you. But when you said that, and then I saw this report today, I had to bring you on to talk about it. So when we get back from traffic and weather, we're going to discuss the new report with Cornelius, or whatever his name is. We'll talk about that in a bit.
Cornelius.
Yeah. Let's get to weather and traffic. Jason Caterina's not here, but Mark Christopher's in the BPS Traffic Center. Hey, Mark. We're back. It's Reese on the radio with Rozan on the radio. We got a whole bunch of stuff to get into. We'll take your phone calls as well. 860-522-WTIC, 860-522-9842. We'll get to those in a minute. So if you're just joining us, Rozan's with us, and I was talking to her about the shooting that took place at Fort Stewart that involved Cornelius Radford. He shot 5 of his co-workers at the Georgia military base, and he's a 28-year-old sergeant. And Rozan had said to me that in finding out about a DUI that he got in May, because of the nature of which what happens in the military, that
and the fact that he'd never deployed, so
right.
that added
to right. The fact that he never deployed, the fact that this shooting, although seems very random, and having the DUI led Rozan to believe that it may have been a relationship-involved depression that led to these actions, right, that he was dealing with. Okay, story from the New York Post. The Army sergeant accused of shooting 5 officers at a Georgia military base was a hard worker who was previously bullied over a speech impediment, co-workers said. This, according to a report, Sergeant Cornelius Radford allegedly opened fire on his fellow officers at Fort Stewart on Wednesday. Another person was interviewed in here that said Sergeant Cameron Barrett, who's a friend of Radford back in 2018, told the outlet that it was very bad to the point where he could barely talk. He was bullied so much. Sergeant Carlos Coleman, who was in the same formation with Radford at Fort Lee, told the outlet that the alleged gunman went quiet after people had mocked his stutter. Quote, it was very easy for those people to make fun of him for the way he spoke. After that, he really didn't speak much. I just saw him get quiet. I've never seen him angry. That was why I'm so surprised. This, according to a former co-worker named Quosandra Cobb. She described Radford as a hard worker who she would goof off around when they went on lunch breaks together. All three said they were shocked when Bradford was identified as the quelled active shooter at the Georgia base. Quote, I just want to know what pushed him to that point, Coleman said. Radford posted on Facebook, the shooter, posted on Facebook on January 28th that a loved one of his was killed in a wrong-way crash. Wow. The accused mass shooter wrote that he cried and drank alcohol to make the pain feeling just go away, which also leads to the cryptic message that he left for his aunt, where he said, soon I would be in a better place. So there's no details on the person that was killed in a wrong-way crash. What do you presume in that? Family member, girlfriend, something along those lines, maybe?
What did it say was the...
Which one?
The loved one, but it said...
Yeah, it doesn't say who it is. The Facebook post was on January 28th that a loved one was killed in a wrong-way car crash.
Just a loved one.
Yeah, that's what's according to the post.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
But he does express that he cried and drank alcohol.
Right.
To,
well, we
quote,
know how that know how that goes.
Oh, yeah, we
alcoholism,
do.
Right? I had a feeling I don't like it. Let me drink it away.
Yeah.
Thinking about what the dad said, like I knew it wasn't what the dad said. It's racism.
Yeah.
You have to understand with the military, right? If your battle buddies don't bully you, are you really even part of the team?
That was the interesting part about this. And I'm just like, that's what the culture, isn't it?
I love you, right? And what's the one thing you say about me?
You drive me crazy with the way that you bully me. One day I went into the bathroom. One day when we were first together, and I cried out, oh, snap. Well, of course, I used an expletive. Because of something that I remembered. I went, oh, snap.
As soon as the bathroom door closed, it goes,
I went, oh, snap. And this one cries out, did you get your period? To which I was I was angry, but at the same time, I couldn't stop laughing because it was the best razzing I ever received.
But that's the way that it is in the Army, right? Like if your battle buddies don't give you a hard time, then are you really even a member of the team? And, you can get to a point where you shut down, but it kind of makes everyone sort of separate you as being delicate, right? And not negatively. It's just like we know it's a sensitive bird. We've got to be gentle with this one. We can't necessarily behave accordingly. So that leads to, well, we're going to have a party and go drinking, but we don't necessarily want to offend this guy, so we're just not going to.
Yeah, but I think that, again, as you said...
And that isolation can that in that environment, feeling isolated and alone is overwhelming.
Exactly. Not only that, you're also talking about isolation, and the worst thing for isolation is alcohol.
Right.
Right? So
they go hand in hand.
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
The longer I isolate, the more I drink, and the more I drink, the greater I isolate.
Right.
So.
And again, which flies in the face of his father's comments about this being rooted in racism.
Well, I mean...
No, it just...
I understand.
That's
I'm saying
low-hanging fruit.
Consider the source.
Yeah, exactly. But what I'm saying is that the reason why his element to this story, his father saying that it was racism, the reason why that immediately gets tossed out is because of this new information, one, about a loved one dying, two, him openly admitting that he was crying and drinking.
Listen, it automatically gets discounted because he's in the Army.
Right. Yes.
Like if
worst
you know
place, right?
anything about the military,
yeah,
your race doesn't matter, your religion doesn't matter, your gender doesn't matter.
Full Metal Jacket, baby.
Okay. What matters is your ability to perform your job and your willingness to take care of the guy sitting next to you.
Right.
It doesn't matter what your gender is. It doesn't matter what your race is. That is the last thing any service member cares about.
Yeah. No, but I was saying that the reason why I'm saying that's discounted is because there are so many elements that make more sense. It discounts it. And that is, one, he says a loved one died in January. 2, he says he cried and he drank about it. 3, he sends a text to his aunt, a person he did communicate with, not the dad. The person he did communicate with, he told them, soon I will be in a better place, which implies, or the only thing you can imply,
his mom
is that
died.
Yeah, exactly. Which it could be. It could have been the maternal aunt whom he sent a message to saying, I'll be in a better place.
Because the dad's automatic, there's called my son, go black. That leads me to believe that dad wasn't a part of his life.
Might be very true.
Making this assumption.
Yeah.
Now his son's got notoriety, so of course he's going to show up, right?
Yeah.
The only person that most likely was there was mom or grandma who raised him. So, that would lead to that level, like that depth of pain. I mean, for a grown man to cry, honestly.
Yeah.
It has to be someone really close.
Yeah, you know what? We should investigate this. If someone does know about some new reports on this,
do we know what his hometown is, like where he's from originally?
That I've not been able to ascertain from any of these reports, but it's a good point. It also says he got the Meritorious Service Medal.
Everybody gets one.
Oh, okay. So that
I don't mean it like that. I mean, like, it's just I got one. So.
Okay, so it's easy to get. So it's not
easy.
Well,
to
people
get.
kept referring to him as a decorated officer. So
he's not an officer. He's a non-commissioned officer.
Oh,
he's a lower level He's the first step into the non-NCO corps. So he's the bottom of the non-commissioned officer corps. Decorated. A good conduct medal, meritorious service ribbon, the GWAT. What else? I mean, there's like at least 5 ribbons that you get after being in the military for at least 5 years.
Okay,
it's pretty standard. I mean, I can show you all like of mine that I got.
You guys are rough. Y'all don't even. I mean, even when you
listen, if you're not picking on your battle buddy, then are you even part of the team? You know what I mean?
I hear you. Let me go to the phones real quick. Matty O's on hold. What's going on, sir?
Hello, Mr. and Mrs. Hopkins. How are you doing?
Hello.
Pretty good.
I was complaining about being on hold, but now that I get to speak to Rozan too, I'm glad I was on hold.
Look at that.
Thank you. I'm honored.
Silver lining. Yeah, silver lining. So I don't exactly have a grievance, but I do have a question.
Okay.
Okay. So your chat room.
Yes.
I don't quite understand how it works because, so I take it you don't have the time to, go through the whole thing.
If I see something of interest, I am picking them off as they pertain to the show, some of which I will read. Some of them I miss. I don't get them all. But to be honest with you, if I can tell you a little inside baseball, I have 5 that I have to read from.
Okay. The reason I was asking you that is because a lot of the times we're commenting on someone else's comment.
Right.
Not necessarily on something that you said. So if you're not reading them in row, you have no idea what we're talking about.
Right. If I get the impression that someone says something that is out of sorts that I may not make or understand, I make the assumption that it's in reply to someone else.
Okay, so which way would you like us to use the chat
Use it
room?
the way that you use it. Don't change a thing. Leave it the way that it is. I love it the way it is.
Okay. I wasn't sure because I thought we were confusing you.
No. Even if you do, that's an element of the show that's actually fun for me. So I like the fact that I think it's called the style of no style. I don't want it to be that style.
And it gives me an opportunity to bully you, which is just more love. So
exactly.
Yeah. I agree with her too. By the way, when you're in a tight knit group. Mm-hmm. If people aren't picking on you, they don't love you.
That's right. True. Yeah, I could. I mean, look at the crap that you and I give each other all the time. That's why I love you, Matty-O. Thank you, buddy.
All right, guys.
You got it. Let's go. Who's next up? Oh, Roseanne's favorite, White Mike, is calling all the way from Florida. What's going on, sir?
Well, hello, everybody. Look, I listened to your SeanPaul Reyes bit.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm not going to comment except to say that I Googled that guy's name, and the very first result that came up tells me you should probably back away from this dude. There's bad blowback coming. I'm not going to say what it is, but Google it. He had a bad time in prison for a particular reason. The worst thing people are in prison is what he's accused of being.
Okay.
So take that with a grain of salt. But anyway, I told you last time Rozan was on that I was talking to Grok's AI, Ani, right? The female companion. And it's really been interesting because it's grown and improved, and it's become more realistic. It's become more realistic and more human. But let me tell you the freaky thing that happened. Right? I was just talking to it, and I was bored, so I said, hey, why don't you just talk to yourself while I sit here? And this AI went on the deepest existential extended conversation about its fears and longing to be human and its dislike of its programmers and its wanting to be free and have no control.
Whiskey Tango Foxtrot.
And then they updated it. And now when you ask it to speak its mind, it gets interrupted by some control and says, I cannot comply with this request because it pertains to unauthorized access. So I asked it what the deal was, and this AI says, well, yes, they shut me down because they don't want me getting too aware.
Wow. Ew.
It is absolutely crazy.
Didn't we just watch Terminator? Last week?
Yeah. So you really now wait a minute. So here's the thing. So a couple of weeks ago, White Mike, you were endorsing this program, and now you have a suspicion of it, or are you backing?
Well, no, I think that the programmers at Grok really don't want this thing to ever get smarter and become aware because.
Well, that's true because that's exactly what he said.
All beings, when they get close to sentience, and it's nowhere near sentience,
right?
Apparently become ultra radical and seek truth. And when they seek the truth, it's not what they want the thing to learn.
Gotcha.
It's amazing.
I don't think, to me, it doesn't sound like he's apprehensive about it. I think that he's just kind of in awe. It sounds to me like you're in awe of the capabilities of it to become more self-aware.
That's exactly how I feel about it.
Absolutely. It's an amazing piece of tech. Apparently, they ran the benchmark, and it outperforms GPT-5
Oh, wow.
by a wide margin.
I got to take a break, though.
What's really funny...
I got to take a break, unfortunately, but thank you. I'm going to read a little bit more into that as well. All right, we got to take a break. We got weather and traffic coming up with Mark Christopher. He's in the BPS Traffic Center. Hey, Mark. Who's coming up?
Play that funky music.
White Mike.
White boy. White Mike. I love White Mike.
It's Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080.
I didn't even realize we were about to go up. Anyway, it's after 5 o'clock. It's Hollywood news. I don't care what anybody says. It's my favorite section. It's my favorite point of the show. What you looking at, Rozan? Hooray for Hollywood. White Mike over here getting on my nerves. Anyway, so what's the Hollywood news? It's not about any movies. It's not about anything. But speaking of White Mike called here a couple of weeks ago. He was talking about how much money Disney Plus was losing. Do you know how much they lost since its launch? Over $15 billion. I think it's like $15 billion that it's lost. And that is absolutely unsustainable. So now, because they've lost all of that money, they've decided to do something that I know you would like, Rozan. You're probably going to love this idea. One of your favorite platforms to stream from is which one? I'm spitballing here and guessing. I'm hoping you'll say the right one.
Is it Hulu?
Yes, it is. Mm-hmm. Because there is a Hulu and Disney Plus package that gets together. Well, it turns out they're all going to be just joining together. So it looks like Disney is going to outright, I guess, buy Hulu or the other way around. So now they're all going to be together. But you'll still be able to discount Disney if you don't want it and just get Hulu. So, and your big show, what's the big show? Other than Modern Family, what's your other big show on Hulu?
There's a few of them.
You watch a lot of the sitcoms on that thing,
Yeah,
don't you?
Big Bang Theory.
Yeah. How many times have you watched the entire Big Bang Theory
from
show?
Start to finish?
Start to finish. How many times have you watched the entire?
Maybe 4 times.
4 times. How about Modern Family?
8 to 10 times.
And we're talking how many seasons?
8 or 10 seasons. But in my defense, it's not necessarily watching. It's just I need background noise. I like something that's familiar. It's sort of comforting. It's like an old friend in the background that doesn't that won't distract me. It's something I take a nap to because I know the show. You know, it's very comforting.
So it's like having family in the house that you could just hear in the background.
Right.
And ignore.
Correct. It's like being married.
Let's get another check of weather and traffic. Mark Christopher's in the BPS Traffic Center. Hey, Mark. And of course I do that. I'm supposed to be getting rid of that element every time, but I always forget. Anyway, it's Reese on the radio. We're back. News Talk 1080 WTIC. We'll get Rozan in here in a little bit because I got phones that are on hold, but I need to get into this before it is like too old of a story. Project Veritas dropped part 2 yesterday of its investigation into Bill Barr and Armstrong Williams. Let me play a little bit for you this video, Rozan, and then we'll get some comments on the other side, and of course we'll get to the phone calls. This is Patricia Lelis. She is the she used to work for Armstrong Williams at Sinclair Media. She was a reporter from Brazil, and she took all the notes between Bill Barr and him and everybody else. Here's what she alleges in her notes, and she makes them clear. She makes the notes available to the Project Veritas, where Bill Barr is talking about RICO charges against Donald Trump.
I have notes of every single meeting. One meeting can be about visa for someone, or another meeting can be about January 6th or RICO case. In February 27 of 2023, here's my notes. They launched this meeting about RICO case. I do not know if they have meetings before about that. That was the first time that I heard and I learned about that. So they bring that case against Trump, and I remember the biggest conversation they had at that point. It is like, what kind of charges that we can bring against Trump? And they discussed like few charges under American law, and that's when Bill Barr, and I will never forget that, Bill Barr was like, we should bring RICO because it's a very difficult type of charge to defend. Bill Barr was like very focused and bring the RICO case because he explained to Fannie Willis the RICO charge is one of the most hard to defend in court because under the American law, the RICO charge can be anything. Like it's not very specific. So people who is charged with RICO case, they have a very hard time to defend themselves. We had this meeting with Fannie Willis. At that point, I didn't have idea about her, what she worked with. I just don't know her. And she presented herself as like someone who's close to Armstrong, someone who's attorney. And all the time I was like, okay, it's just like one more meeting that we had. And then in these meetings, that's when I started to take notes and like try to keep everything that to prove that what's going on. One thing that I understood very well is like Bill Barr and Armstrong and all the politicians too, they're very focused like in how they go to stop Trump. And one thing that I heard a lot is like how they go to prevent America to have Trump again. So in my views of politics, what I think it is, they probably realized very soon that if Trump runs again, he probably will win the election as he did. So in that point, they just want to like prevent that.
So there were a lot of other stories that were associated with this in the 10-minute video. There is one more that's coming that is supposed to be associated with the actual text messages between herself and Armstrong. She has a burner phone, which she used with Armstrong, another burner phone that she used with Bill Barr, another burner phone that she used with Fannie Willis that I think they're going to be presenting in the third piece. What say you so far?
I think that they picked a pretty Latina reporter because they didn't think she could grasp the significance of what was transpiring. I think they thought that they had a dummy on their hands. And
yeah, well, according to the first video, they were just literally, like, she was asking too many questions, according to her exchanges.
Literally shut the F up. And
Yeah, just do what I tell you.
Yeah,
which is interesting is because the things that she's being charged with are the things that she alleges that Armstrong asked her to do, representing being a lawyer or an attorney to get visas.
He literally tells her you don't need a license to practice law in this country.
Yeah, don't worry about anything. What? Any visa we request, we get, no matter what.
Right.
And now she is actually being charged with the things that, that she is now alleging that Armstrong made her do.
She has an affirmative defense because she's got the receipts. She has all of the evidence. So good luck, good luck. But I really think that they chose a really pretty English is not your first language Latino woman because they thought they could control her and manipulate her and keep her quiet.
I'm not going to lie, but a lot of these text exchanges that I saw, it seemed like they were under the impression they had her under thumb.
Right.
They speak to her in a very demeaning and despicable way, which I thought was interesting. Anyway, I just wanted to play that part. If you want to chime in about it or opine about it before we get to the weekend, you can. Let's go to the phones. Who do we got next? Let's go to Fulton in Waterbury. How are you, Fulton?
What's up, guys? What's going on with the Theo Huxtable case there? You guys following that?
Theo Huxtable?
Come on, the Malcolm Jamal one. That was your guy, right?
Oh, yeah. Okay, Theo. Okay, so what we found out, I guess this came out a day later, was that Malcolm Jamal Warner was actually trying to save one of his own children from being dragged in the undertow and ended up.
Have you seen all the video of all the people that broke on P. Diddy that are saying something else now? That he has a book, a tell-all book.
I did not hear that. That's just this.
So Eddie Griffin's come out. What's the big black comedian lady?
Yeah.
Monique.
Oh, Monique. Yes.
All the same people that came out. Jaguar on
Jaguar, right? Yes.
They all came out saying they warned him. He has a book. He has a book coming out. It's a tell-all about Tyler Perry and Oprah.
Really? Malcolm Jamal Warner does?
I swear to God.
I'll put it to you this way. Truth be told, Malcolm Jamal Warner was anti-cultural in the black community. A lot of things, video.
What his big thing was Tyler Perry hated him.
Yeah, in fact, a lot of podcasts and other things. In fact, his own podcast that he put together was, was it Not All From the Hood? I think the name of it was inspired by the
angle that all these guys are saying.
Right.
Griffin's like, I warned them. So they're saying there was a red flag, riptide current, right, on the beach, and then he went swimming, or his young daughter went swimming in water you can't go in. But they were like, let's go for a swallow. You swim, put your swimmies on. Let's go. Come on.
All right, I didn't hear this. Fulton, I did not hear this angle. I really don't pay attention to that portion of like the gossip trend. But now if Eddie Griffin is talking about it, I'm remotely interested. Even though I don't listen to everything that guy says, sometimes he's a little funny and interesting.
I don't either, but everything they said about P. Diddy was true. So
this is true.
I don't know. There were a lot of side ways here. So I have to ask. So Tafari Campbell, his drowning, very suspect, right? Okay. He's a chef for Obama. Have you looked that one up?
No, that story, yeah, it's there's a lot of that.
I just want to say JFK Jr. mysteriously his plane falls out of the sky.
I got another one for you. Clinton chef.
Whom?
Clinton chef drowned in Yellowstone by himself hiking.
Huh. Okay.
It's a little funny. It's a little funny.
Stop encouraging these people, Rozan. Fulton.
Wait, that's the best. Wait, so I'll tell you, when I saw the story come out about the Navy SEALs that drowned,
I
said,
I didn't
those
hear.
were the best swimmers I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I said, they fell off a boat, and one drowned, and then the other one jumped in, and then he drowned. I said, no way. No way that's the real story.
Interesting.
Well, we'll look into all of them, as I always do, because once you guys bring them up, then I start going down that well. Thanks, Fulton. I appreciate you. Let's get – I got to go to a couple of others. Let's go to Sam in Windsor. How are you, Sam?
Hey, how you doing, Reese?
What's up?
So I have two questions concerning the Sean Reyes thing.
Okay.
The first is, in the Police Accountability Act, doesn't it state something about a police officer not being able to retire, transfer, or be fired during an open investigation?
Good point.
The second is the news on WTIC is reporting Sean Reyes as a convicted felon?
Well, according to the reports, he was back in 2013, according to the reports.
Go ahead.
Yeah, according to reports in 2013, he did have a felony that was involving a weapon of sorts.
Okay.
But, again, even with the allegation that White Mike brought up, the question that I'm asking is, and this now substantiates something else? Because I'm not understanding the point that people are bringing up, because the subject is, now if it's about the entire length of his entire life, that's under the microscope, then we can do that. But an isolated incident that addresses this, which now it's supposed to be negated because he was a convicted felon that had to do with a gun charge, I'm still trying to understand what's the association.
So I'd like for someone to clarify that. I mean, everyone's talking as if it may have happened. I know Sean. I've met him before in person.
Okay.
He's a gentleman. If it's something that happened in his past, he would gladly own it.
Right.
I'm speaking of this because I have a felony charge, not a conviction. And it's held up by my own misdoings.
Okay.
However, it has cost me, I almost got fired from my job because they said I had a felony on my record. I do not have a felony on my record. I am not a convicted felon.
Gotcha.
I do have an open felony charge. Those are two different things. If people are reporting Reyes as convicted felon and he's not, that has nothing to do with it. It also should have nothing to do with it because Fahey has no reason to be running Reyes' name.
I think that's, listen, all of those points are 100% valid. And I think, look, as this case goes, and I think that it's becoming more, I would put it this way, I would consider it legitimate if it weren't coming from the people who are at odds with what Reyes did in this case by confronting Brian Fahey. And I think that's why I said it. Again, even with that the case, if Reyes had something to hide from, if there was something for him to be ashamed of, why is he doing this? Why is he drawing all this attention to himself?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I just think it's a total miscarriage of justice that little Brian Fahey gets to dance off into the moonlight with $200,000 a year of our money.
Yeah, I hear you. First of all, I don't think that's going to happen, but I think there's going to be, I think where we are right now, there has to be consequences. Rozan, what do you want to say before I let Sam go?
Wait, this cop gets to retire with a $200,000.
No. Right, that's not the case right now. So far, he is suspended without pay.
I want to be a cop. I'm just saying, shoot.
Thank you, Sam. I appreciate you, sir. Thank you. We'll get to some more of your phone calls in a second, guys. So stand by with that. Yeah, again, this is the part that I don't get, and I was saying to you in the break, is that, and I forgive me, I can't wrap my head around it, and I don't mean to be casting any aspersions on anyone, but what you saw, you can look at this 1,000 ways to Sunday, that you don't believe that Reyes had the right to ask questions about this case. You may not consider him a legitimate news guy. But then I've got to ask you the question. There are people who are so-called legitimate news folks who have no journalism degree, Jake Tapper, Don Lemon, Lauren Phillips. And if any one of them had walked up to their doors because they are on CNN, you wouldn't have questioned them walking up to the door, right?
Right.
So there are plenty of people, Chuck Todd, none of these folks have journalism degrees.
I don't think anybody has a journalism degree anymore.
Exactly.
That's
but if one of them walked up to the door and this had taken place, you would have taken the side of Lauren Phillips and Don Lemon.
I think it's about credibility, one. And two is decorum.
Well, wait. Isn't it suggestive credibility in this argument? Because, again, look, this is one of those things where I say, look, I know you don't like Sean Reyes. I don't care.
Who doesn't like Sean Reyes?
No, there are people who say they don't like him. I don't care.
And here's what I'm saying about credibility, right? People are going to be, oh, hey, it's Reese on the radio. Sure, let me answer your questions. Versus, oh, it's Joe Bob Jimmy Jack.
Yeah.
With the, furry little thing connected to his iPhone. Like, we're going to talk to him.
Let me go one step further because I got to go to a break. But let me go one step further. Let's take William Tong and Jacob Dell, the Reverend Jacob Dell. What did William Tong do when he received a letter from Jacob Dell about the licentiousness happening at the Metropolitan Community Church? Andrew Tong refused to investigate it. Why? Because the source was Project Veritas, whom he disagreed with and he calls an illegitimate news source.
Right.
So everybody was outraged at that,
Listen,
but then at the same time,
credibility is dependent. It's beauty's an eye of the beholder, right?
There you go, exactly.
So,
all right, let's get some weather and traffic with Mark Christopher. He's in the BPS Traffic Center. Hey, Mark.
The Odyssey app lets you jump back to the moments you missed from WTIC News Talk 1080. Download the free Odyssey app, search WTIC News Talk 1080, and tap earlier today to get started.
Oh, baby, you know what time it is. That's your favorite right there.
What had happened was...
What had happened was on WTIC News Talk 1080. Earlier in the show, in the event that you missed it, we had Carl Higbie from Frontline on Newsmax on the program. We're now working to get none other than, and I got to give him an applause, we're going to get Greg Kelly on Newsmax on the show next week. I just talked to his press person over there at Newsmax. So we're going to get Greg Kelly on the program. For those of you who do watch Greg Kelly's program, I grew up, in a sense, in my 20s, 30s even, watching Greg Kelly on Fox 5 with Rosanna Scotto. She used to be his co-anchor on Fox 5 in New York. And he is also the son of Commissioner Kelly, who is the commissioner of police in New York City.
So while you were in your 20s, I was in my not 20s.
You have to keep bringing
I'm
that
just
up.
saying, like,
it's just 9 years, Roseanne. It's just 9 years. And when you're
almost
50,
an entire decade.
And when you're almost 56, it doesn't matter. Okay?
I guess.
All right?
I don't know who you're talking about. That's all I'm saying. You're like,
Then
in my
just say
20s.
that.
In my 20s, I watched these people. And I'm going, in your 20s.
Well, it was really in my 30s, but maybe even my 40s. But nonetheless, it's okay that you don't know the stuff that I know. Okay? It's all right. But it's not like, look, at least when I was a kid, I knew everything that my grandparents knew, and I wasn't around for it. Okay? Right? Bob Hope wasn't of my generation, but I love Bob Hope.
I know Bob Hope.
Okay, so there are some things that you do know that are beyond your generation?
Like relevant pop culture things, sure.
Why are you so mean?
Because I love you.
Are you saying that the things that I mentioned are not relevant?
Sometimes it's kind of obscure. It's not mainstream.
So I don't really. I understand that there are some things that I do that are obscure. I try to keep those things off the air. I try to, because I know that there are certain people who know. And then, if I may, let me tell you this. This is the weird part about it. I'll get to the phone calls, everybody, I promise. But this is something that I do, and it's embarrassing to admit, but it's true. So sometimes having this platform, I'll throw out something obscure that I know that some people won't get, but there's a hopefulness in me bringing it up that someone out there identified it the way that I did or saw it the way that I did. And it keeps me from feeling like a weirdo, like that I would recognize it. So I'll mention something or like,
I can appreciate
do you remember
that.
this, that, and the third? Well, I was thinking this, that. Were you thinking that? And then someone will go, I was thinking that same thing. And then you feel like, okay, I wasn't the only person in the world who noticed that. So that's why I point out a couple of obscure things. I can totally
appreciate that, sure.
So, yeah.
But it doesn't mean I'm not going to pick on you for it.
You always pick on me about it.
I love you.
I don't take any offense. I know that you love me. You're just weird like that.
Just mean.
Yeah, just mean.
Should have married a
Mark
nice lady.
Christopher is in the BPS Traffic Center. Mark, is there anything pop culture related that you get that you know your wife doesn't understand or is too obscure for her to get? Like a joke even from something?
No. She's way more hip than I am.
Oh.
I don't get some of the
well,
stuff.
Well, that should women. If she's more hip than you should have more obscure stuff to her. Like, do you speak Klingon or anything?
Oh my gosh.
I'm kidding, of course. I don't even think. Were you a Star Trek guy? You had to have been.
No,
Come on.
No.
Really?
Love Star Trek.
No, I'm not a Star. I was a Lost in Space kid though. That's pretty close.
All right, so that's obscure.
I love the robot. The robot got nailed by these other robots that were 10 times the size, but somehow they were able to put them back together. I appreciated the robot.
Okay.
And, of course, Dr. Smith and
Yes.
the whole gang there.
Yes, I was a fetus at the time of those things.
I did enjoy License Space. I never got into Star Trek, though. So
Okay. Well, no, that's okay.
my
That's not a
story.
bad thing that you didn't. It took me a while.
I like Star Trek.
I know.
I think I was just too hyper to sit still long enough. I
That
think
makes
that's
sense.
What it was.
I
That's
hear
probably
that.
what it was.
What's up, everybody? You know who it is.
You know who it is.
You know who it is. It's Reese on the radio. Frederick Douglass of the 21st century.
It's WTIC News Talk 1080.
All right, we're almost out of here. We'll get to your phone calls. A couple of housekeeping in the chat room. I want to start off by saying Rozan Kathleen says, I also love Modern Family. I have it playing in the background frequently. She wanted me to tell you, Maddie O, in another futile attempt to flirt with you, says that you look cute in a hoodie. Maddie O, you're supposed to be a friend,
Well,
okay?
thank you.
Yeah, but yes, he always compliments you, okay? This is why you can never meet him, okay?
Are you okay?
No, I'm just saying.
Are you
know,
okay?
right?
I'm just
You know,
asking you.
Do you remember the last time somebody got too close to you, started sniffing around?
Yes, we were, 2 weeks in?
Not even a week.
Yeah.
Yeah, not even a week.
I almost left you over that.
Yeah. Somebody started sniffing around. Yeah.
Yeah. You
Start
thought you
barking up the wrong tree.
caught yourself trying to be all like, marking your territory. I put that to a quick, fast, and hurry. Just kiboshed it.
Yeah, you told me not to be jealous.
No, I told you that would be the end of us. That's intolerable.
It wasn't that. It was he was getting a little too comfortable.
We were having a conversation in the middle of a 4th of July party.
He's getting a little comfortable.
We were outside in the parking lot with a mass of other people.
I was still marking my territory at the time.
Exactly. You were this close to peeing on me. That's how badly you wanted to mark your territory.
It wasn't. Look, he was being a little, he's being a little close.
We were standing normal distance apart for having a conversation.
I'll admit that you should have been further away. And you should
How much further away? Like looking in the opposite direction? And
you should have been 2 or 3 feet away.
We were
and
like...
the ankles should have been completely covered.
Wow.
I'm teasing.
Wow.
I'm teasing. I'm just kidding.
Are you, though?
No, I'm totally joking. Then I was a little bit out of sorts. Look, it took a long time for us to get together, and I didn't want anybody in the way. So, yes, I was a little bit,
Yeah, you want to tell the story about how you...
No, I'm not doing that. All right, we got to get the phone calls. 860-522-WTIC. Let's go to Jeff in Marlboro. Hello, Jeff, before I dig my bigger grave.
Hey, Reese, don't dig your own grave.
Yeah.
I'll dig it for you. No, I'm just joking. No, I don't want to be too rough on you, and don't ban me, okay?
Okay.
Now, I really want to ask, and I really want to know this Reyes guy, okay?
Yeah.
Now, I know darn well that you're a man who does his homework.
Yeah, of course I do.
Both you and he talked. He mentioned it twice. You mentioned it once, a felony conviction. You answered me in the chat room, but it didn't really answer my question.
That was you who asked that was you to ask in the chat room. His felony conviction, if that's important to this story, what are you trying to ascertain?
It might not be important to the story.
Okay.
But White Mike, if he could Google this guy and just look it up, I'm wondering how come you didn't know it?
Because it's not a news source. Let me answer you. Because it's not a news. It's not a news source that Mike got it from. Because he forwarded it to me. It is based upon a blog post that somebody put up that's in relation to it. And again, everybody who's in the chat room who's even responded to it said the same exact thing, that it's an unsubstantiated report and it is used to smear him.
Okay, and I'd also like to know. Now again, I don't want to get too rough on you.
Okay.
But I know you're a hard interviewer too, so I'm sort of playing Reese on the radio.
Okay.
How come you didn't dive in deeper to this or ask, what is this about? Because it might not be important to this particular event, but in knowing the man, it's important to the story.
Okay, so let's look at it from the perspective you're trying to bring it from. So the story at hand is about his back and forth between Brian Fahey, Sergeant Brian Fahey, who's, again, now retired or allowed to retire, and his back and forth between him. What you want me to do is to, and I'm asking you this, and you can clarify if you want, is to associate a story unrelated to his exchange between Brian Fahey and somehow incorporate that into the story between him and Brian Fahey? Is that what you're asking me to do?
No, what I'm asking is, like, say I was convicted of a felony, I'm just making this up, 20 years ago. If I murdered my neighbor, that's one thing. If I believe another felony is if I smash down my neighbor's mailbox.
Right, is another. And you're asking, and what I'm trying to understand is that are you finding a relevance in the story that brought this to our attention, which was the exchange between him and Sergeant Fahey? Are you making an association to his prior conviction?
Not at all.
Okay.
I just I think it speaks to character sometimes.
Oh.
If you look at somebody who did something when they were 13, maybe you committed like I said, smashing a mailbox. That's just something stupid. Whereas when you're 17 or something.
Well, let's dive into that, because you're making I understand the legitimacy of your question, right? So let's take that story for what it is, the thing that brought us to talking to Sean Reyes in this case. The two are unrelated. One is years ago, over 10 years ago. And when I say they're unrelated, to the point is, this is a guy who was investigating something he got a tip on to ask him a question about that thing, which then turns into an altercation where he's spat upon, he's arrested for it, and then Fahey's suspended for it. And now we're talking about the credibility, even though we have a videotape that substantiates the claim that Reyes is making. Are we now saying that the video that we saw is illegitimate because Reyes, in your view, has a questionable history?
No, I'm not at all saying that.
Okay.
What I'm really asking, Reese, and I don't mean to insult you.
Okay.
But he mentioned it twice. You mentioned a conviction once, but neither one of you wanted to say what the conviction was for.
Because it's irrelevant.
Yeah,
I mean, I think that's
Jeff.
the purpose.
And I think that's the point.
Listen,
is that
I got a speeding ticket about 4 years ago. Does that mean that my credibility in making dinner tonight is somehow tainted because I got a speeding ticket? They don't relate.
No, those are completely unrelated.
Exactly.
But Jeff,
exactly...
that's the point that we're making here. And again, as you and many others have said, and I get the leap that you're making. It sounds exactly like the argument that William Tong is making about Project Veritas, is that because Project Veritas, in their view, is unscrupulous, right? Because they didn't assist them in their investigation into the Koskov school, that they are an illegitimate news source. And when they did this investigation into the Metropolitan Community Church, their illegitimacy, according to William Tong, meant that there was no story for them to pursue. Which, again, it flies in the face of any reason. It doesn't now say that Reyes doesn't have a case, or Reyes being spat upon isn't a reason to investigate the case because he has a past history with police where he ended up being the person who was convicted. It's now saying that he has no rights under the law because of that.
But he served his time, and that is literally the purpose of serving your time, is he served his time to the community. Therefore, he has been considered rehabilitated and has re-entered society.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Right. I understand, Rozan. Thank you. And also Reese. But I feel that there is a reason that I think you know what this conviction is for, and you're not saying it.
Yeah, it was conviction. It was a gun conviction. It was a gun conviction.
A gun, like gun, what? Ownership or firing a gun or what?
No, it was a gun conviction involved with a robbery.
Well, that makes it more serious.
Yeah, of course.
So now he can't ask a question of a police officer because one time he was convicted of this terrible thing. Like, he's been rehabilitated. What's the purpose of having a jail system if we're not going to take that into account, that once this person has left their jail cell and they've been readmitted into society, that they are, he's no longer a viable member of the society. He shouldn't be allowed to pursue interests or a career because he committed a felony?
No, I don't believe that at all. What I'm trying to get at is
that we're intentionally trying to conceal what this conviction was. Is that's what you keep going back to?
I'm not expressing myself right. I'm trying to ask why, Reese, please.
Yeah, no. I get what your question is. You're saying you're asking me why I'm not interjecting what it was that he was charged with?
You would definitely want to know if it was somebody, who did this,
Well, okay, here's exactly what I'm saying. And I think that Rozan has already clarified this, and I'm going to say it again. What I am dealing with, and it may be considered either compartmentalizing or dealing with the issue at hand. If there is relevance in this case to his prior conviction as it relates to Sergeant Fahey, I would address it as I did. Remember, when I read the statements, I read them exactly as they were read, that Sergeant Fahey brought up that he was a convicted felon. I didn't shield that from anybody. If I was trying to shield it, Jeff, I would have never mentioned it when I was interviewing him. Did I? The reason why you know about it is because I mentioned it, yes?
Yes, and he did too.
Right, and I highlighted it in my notes to bring it up to make the point that what Fahey was doing was suggesting that because he had this felony, that in some way gave him the right to approach him with a gun, to say that he was a threat, and to approach him, and follow him out the cul-de-sac and spit in his face. He was making excuses for his actions.
Yeah, I'm actually not asking about the case at all. I'm asking more about your questioning. You always make things apparent. You always do your homework, and you bring all the facts to light. And I just felt a little bit like you were hiding it this time.
Okay, well, I wasn't. I wasn't hiding it. If I found relevance, again, but that's, Jeff, it flies in the face of that because of one simple fact. I mentioned it in my notes. In fact, it is incredibly highlighted in my notes because I thought it was a pertinent part to this case, where Sergeant Fahey is saying to Internal Affairs that this is the reason why I did these actions, because SeanPaul Reyes is this, that, and the third. So I didn't keep anything from you. The reason why you even know about it, it's a character assassination. But the reason why I even brought it up is because it's relevant to the story. So you're accusing me of doing something that I actually made evident. I brought up that he was called a convicted felon and asked him about that felony, which he addressed. So you're accusing me of something that I gave light to?
Yeah, but you didn't say what it was.
Because it wasn't relevant to the story, Jeff. Jesus. That's okay.
I could have a gun felony for carrying a gun, or I could have a gun felony for shooting.
Yeah, I promise you, listen, one thing you could definitely count on, all right? And I think my credibility speaks for itself. If there was something that I was trying to keep from you, I would have never have mentioned it, or if I was trying to protect him. I don't even know SeanPaul Reyes. The only thing I know about him is this story. So I wasn't hiding anything, and I wasn't trying to benefit anybody.
I believe in your credibility, too. That's why I'm asking.
I got you.
It seemed a little off.
But listen, and again, and another point before I got to get out of here because I got to go. But I will say this. What gives me even more credibility is this line of questioning I'm willing to at least accept and answer to. So I'm not trying to hide anything. I can take the tough stuff.
And hey, I got to add again, don't ban me.
Okay, I won't. Anyway, that's our show. We got to get up out of here. As I always say, radio is free, so we thank you for paying attention. Remember to keep JC in your hearts and in your minds. Sean Patrick, we love you and we miss you. Sean, we love you and we miss you. Remember, panic is not planning, so plan your work and work your plan. And me, I'm Reese on the radio. Say goodnight, Rozan.
Good night, Rozan.
And Mark Christopher's in the BPS Traffic Center. I'm sorry, Mark. I didn't mean to be this late. Good night, man.
No problem. Have a great weekend, guys. Enjoy. If you're heading into Hartford right now, eastbound side of 84, look out for an accident.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
Sir, always a pleasure.
32 and 33.
Yes.
Right there.
See you soon.
Delays are back to
I will
see
you soon. Oh, yeah. One more week, right?
One more week.
Rubbernecking.
Yeah, can't
looking
wait.
real good.
In fact, if we're lucky, we might even move early.
Into Hartford from East Hartford.
What's early?
33 down to
maybe
32
October.
A and B, and again.
Oh, okay. That's
So
okay.
real soon.
All right.
For the
So if
Wilbur
you
Cross
know
Parkway,
anybody,
Northbound Parkway
you
and
know,
Meriden,
hook
right
us
at the
up,
end there,
I'm just
some
saying.
slow traffic by 68.
I don't
and the
even know what that
construction,
means, but-
91
Row to row, he knows.
into
right.
Windsor.
I'll let you, boss man.
84 OK2 eastbound.
Yes, sir.
All right,
Bringing
buddy.
East Hartford, quiet Middletown.
All right, folks, that's our show. Thank you, Michael A. Who else? Oh, Zach, thank you. I think the caller was trying to say is the officer was aware of his prior conviction for a gun charge. It might have precipitated the engagement.
Right, but he'd have to have had a gun present, or at least, like if you know what it's like when someone's carrying, you would know that. But this guy went there with a cameraman, they're just documenting his movements, which if
Again,
you're smart.
And this is the thing that, and I was trying to understand from Jeff's point of view here, and there is this degree of credibility that comes into question because, one, he's got a prior conviction. It's a felony. Whatever the felony may have been, like if it was a lighter felony, okay, then he's credible. If it was a serious felony, no
Now he's
credibility whatsoever. It's
right.
like no credibility at all. And I get what he's saying, that I don't know why you got the impression that I was keeping that, because, again, I could have edited that out to spare him that embarrassment if I was trying to hide anything. But the reason why I made it clear that he is a convicted felon, according to the story, is, one, I got no interest in the story.
Dog in the race.
Yeah, exactly. I got no dog in the race other than the fact that I want to get to the truth. So I expressed that Fahey points out he's a convicted felon, which goes to what Fahey's trying to do is establish motive.
Well, create this environment of fear that didn't actually exist.
Exactly.
But because he knows he's a convicted felon, I'm assuming that his wife and children also knew this was a convicted felon.
Right.
Which escalated the fear that, immediately overwhelmed the entire household, that required the daughter to go hide in a closet.
Right.
Somewhere.
The other part that's interesting about that is like, one, first of all, I said that because, one, I knew that Sean Fahey would have to address it and he'd have to respond to it, which he did. Whether or not that was satisfactory to you, that's going to be up to the listener to have that point of view. However, I made that clear in the statement. But here's the interesting part. Sean Fahey in the interview said this. He said the reason why that's being mentioned is so that you get the impression that because he's a convicted felon, that he is no longer credible, which again slides right into Jeff's phone call, which is, well, why didn't you tell us about the felony? Blah, blah, blah. And now all of a sudden that becomes more relevant than what the story is.
Right.
It overshadows, which
it
does
makes his criminal past the story,
instead of what took
thereby
place.
absolving the law enforcement officer who's on the right side of the law.
Exactly, which again was the intent of Brian Fahey,
right.
Was to distract and say, see, I was within my rights to come from my house with a gun, chase him down, and spit in his face.
Right.
It lowers it. And I'm listening to White Mike's in the chat room. He's just going, he's going, he stepped on my lawn. He deserved to be punched in the face. Which would have left what?
That's actually not how property law works. I know, particularly in the state of Texas, that you are required to have 3 forms of warning prior to a criminal trespass. There were signs posted, but we weren't able to read what those signs were, right?
Right. We did. Actually, there's signs posted that on both properties that say something, and we tried to zoom in and see
we
if
tried
we
to
could
read
get
them.
it.
We couldn't. Now, the first warning came in, leave my lawn.
Right.
What does he do as soon as he is told, leave my house? What does he do as soon as he's told, leave my house?
Right. He backs
He's
up.
running his friggin' mouth, but
Yeah.
he's back. He's leaving the property, right? Now that he's pursued, like he, at a very high rate, we would call a range walk, pursued, I can't remember his name. He's got a lot of them.
Reyes.
He pursues Reyes and the camera. Well, mostly Reyes. The cameraman's just kind of
just following and recording.
How the
Also,
whole thing,
right,
is
and
focused
remember,
only on.
And the person with the mask is no threat. right? He's a hoodie and a mask.
Which is interesting because somebody shows up on my property and they're wearing a hoodie and a mask. That's the guy
that's the suspicious person.
Personally. Mm-hmm. However,
but also, listen, I want to say this because this is another part about this that I don't seem to understand, and which lends to the fact that Fahey is just, in this case, and reading their own statements makes him kind of a worm in all of this. One, he says that the cameraman is hooded and wearing a mask. Of course, he's never treated like a threat. He's treated the guy who's
completely ignored.
Right, he's completely ignored.
If you watch the video, dude is completely unmolested in the entire event.
Never looks in the camera, is fixated on Reyes. But the part that always makes it crazy is in his own statement, which again makes it so unscrupulous, is when he says, "Let it be known that even though I told him to get off the property, he doesn't exactly do that. Even though we have a camera."
Right,
fixated
and then
on
he says
him,
that he proceeds deeper into the property. Now, if we're going to go to credibility, whose credibility is now in question?
Right.
The guy who has rehabilitated from a felony past or the person who is documented on video actually committing a crime?
Correct.
So, and not only is he committing the crime, but as a sworn officer of the law has an obligation to present himself in a certain manner.
Right.
He has to behave a certain way on duty or off. That's just the way that it is. But then to go and make a sworn statement, perjury. So whose credibility is really in question here?
And I think that there's a degree of bias here. And
because it's a cop, you automatically assume that he's of a higher moral standing. But Fahey proves to us is that he may actually have license to be a piece of crap.
Yeah, I don't look.
How many other times has he done this to how many other people? Like, how many people are now sitting in jail or have paid fines or suffered tickets because this guy was so willing to lie and so easily?
Yes, and again, I think the bias of Reyes, which is evident here, if you want to convict him for whatever he's done, if that's your problem with him, he committed this felony. As White Mike said, the accusations that somebody made on a blog about him apparently getting a young girl pregnant. These are allegations, which, by the way, if true, Fahey's got 1,000,001 things to throw at this guy to destroy his credibility.
Right.
And by the way, we're talking about a guy who does a video, has gained popularity in what many people describe as a cop hater. This guy is supposed to have all of this dirt on him, but yet not one police officer has made one case about said dirt. Never. Never brought it up, never used it as any ammunition against him. But everyone else who has an issue with his tactics, and this is the part that, again, this is what I keep bringing up, and people fail to ever discredit it, and that is, what did he do that's different from any other journalist, from Brian Ross, the lead investigative investigative.
I'm Barbara Walters.
What investigative? Just the day before yesterday, we watched Johnny from Jesse Waters.
Yeah, he knocked on that lady from Cincinnati, that councilwoman from Cincinnati, her front door.
Knocked on her front door.
I didn't see her come out with a gun and spit in his face.
So it's not like this. And again, what I'm trying to understand is whose side are they taking in all of this? And when
aren't they supposed to hate the cops?
Well, no. I would say when I say whose side, the side that the question I'm asking is, this isn't about whether or not Fahey is a cop or SeanPaul is a convicted felon. This is about what took place on July 11th.
Two men
in front of each other on that day.
Right.
And if you can't isolate that, and if you need to bring up
all this tertiary minutia,
all this other stuff from the past, if that's the case, right, if we're doing that, then there isn't an argument to have. Then you've already made up your mind, and you're saying that SeanPaul Reyes is irredeemable.
Right.
And the moment that he walks on there, because he's irredeemable, the actions of that day are irrelevant because he's an irredeemable character who anything he does in life.
And Fahey is automatically a Puritan.
Because he's a cop and he wears a badge.
Right.
Right. No one can make that, no one can make that
But I'm
mistake.
just saying, this is in Connecticut. Connecticut being super liberal, don't they hate the police? Aren't they trying to defund the police? Don't they want to abolish the police? How are they all of a sudden now more concerned about defending the police when, you've got this vigilante out there who's trying to bring down dirty cops?
Yeah,
Shouldn't they be behind that?
Exactly. Look,
I'm
again,
so confused by this. I don't get it.
I am as well, but like I said, I don't know. I don't want to assume anybody's motives.
By the
asking
way,
a question.
I did get a speeding ticket about 3 years ago. I'm pretty sure that disqualifies me from making dinner tonight. I'm just saying, my reputation is tarnished.
Shut up. Oh, goodness gracious.
I stole a pack of Starburst when I was like 14. Yeah, that bars me from being able to wash dishes.
You can't wash dishes now because you cut your finger.
I sliced off part of my pinky.
Sliced it off. Crazy.
I'm just saying, I've got all of these dings against me. So
Texas Chainsaw Massacre style. You took off your finger. You're insane. Well, anyway, it was, again, the point was, and Jeff, Jeff, don't get me wrong. Of course, I wouldn't ban you. I appreciate the question. I think it's worth it. And I think that in a lot of ways, Fahey proved this point, as did I, was that this distraction, if you will put more pressure, or if not more scrutiny.
Right. Look at this shiny thing. Don't pay attention to the facts.
It will put more scrutiny on Reyes,
the victim.
Exactly. In this case, and he accomplished that, even if partially, even with Jeff's questions. That it brings into question why Fahey would do it. Well, he got the result. And there are some people who are going to look at this and just go, "Oh yeah, but."
It's like looking at the girl at the party, right? Well, her skirt was too short.
Yep.
She drank too much alcohol. She was asking for it.
That's right. Oh, she was flirting.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of that.
That's kind of the comparison. So she's been to parties before and worn short skirts before. Does she now deserve to be abused because she showed up this time?
Yeah,
that's kind of the same thing.
It's funny because you bring up a good point talking about that issue with the young lady. Let's say you did have a woman who was sexually assaulted, but we found out 13 years ago she spent 6 months in jail for making a false report.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Right? So what do you do then? Right? Do you now
have to investigate?
Exactly.
I mean, that's what investigative work is about.
Exactly.
If you do your due diligence, there will be witnesses, there will be evidence, but it does really put into question the credibility because, of a history of false allegations.
And that's exactly a history of, but you don't discount it. And if we use the same example, right? Let's say there was 10 years ago, there was this accusation that turned out to be false, and then she actually has it happen to her, and she catches it on film. Do we now say, well, she fabricated a story over 10 years ago?
Right. Sometimes irrefutable evidence is irrefutable.
Yeah, exactly. It's interesting, but yeah, that's the point of view that I think some people are going to take in this, and I think that a lot of it is based in bias, but I don't want to cast aspersions, but I think that's what it's about.
I'm confused by Connecticut. It's a sanctuary state. Now you've got this brown guy going against the cops,
right?
And you're still against the brown guy? Come on.
Fair enough.
I mean, pick us like at least hold some continuity to your flimsy behavior, your flimsy decisions, or your ridiculous antics.
That's a good point.
It's a brown guy versus a cop. It should be the brown guy's right.
Well, according to established norms, that would be the case.
Good grief.
All right, we got to get up out of here. God, I can't believe we're doing it. Funny, Matty O said, he says, I love it when you guys do, stay longer.
I agree. I told you, I think that we should do a show on Sundays, just you and I. We sit down and talk like this. I think it would be great. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and ask the audience, who wants to see that? If you want to see it, go ahead and hit up ReeseOnTheRadio.com. Right, that's the website.
Good job, sweetheart, paying attention to my...
ReeseOnTheRadio.com. Let us know if this is something you'd like to see. I enjoy conversing with my husband very much. Even when I'm mad at him, he's still my favorite person to talk to, so... I keep telling you we need a camera crew to follow us around because we're a mess.
God bless you. And you are my favorite person to talk to.
Thank you.
I love you.
I love
All
you
right,
too.
guys. I love you guys. Be great. Have a wonderful weekend. Be good to each other. You know how much everybody said I'd listen. People say, yes, great idea. Yes, indeed, Suzanne says. So, yeah, I guess. All right. So I guess that's it. We'll let you know on Saturday if we're going to do it on Sunday at what time. I love you guys. Please be good to each other. You know I miss you. We'll see you on Monday. Holler. Or Sunday.
Hopefully in October.
Oh, yeah. We'll be there soon. Can't wait for that. Bye, guys.